Chapter 574. The Secret of Nandu County. No matter how stupid Chu Tianlan and Chu Meng were, they understood everything. The young saint alchemist before him was clearly the super expert behind Qing Xian. Naturally, Qing Xian would not be so simple. During this period of time, Qing Xian was in a crisis and they must have asked for reinforcements. This young man must be someone from the upper echelons of Qing Xian. Moreover, it was a very important person. Young master. This meant that this person was definitely a supreme existence in the family. There were many things that were difficult to understand at the moment, but they did not dare to be powerless. They also knelt down respectfully. For a moment, the entire living room was silent. There was no sound at all. Get up. Li Lingtian broke the silence in the living room. The pressure in the air immediately dissipated, causing the few of them to relax as if they had vented their anger. I didn't expect young master to come to Nandu County. Does young master want to return to Qing Xian with me? Shenyuan Dao stood up and Li Lingtian waved his hand to signal him to sit down. He dared not resist and could only return to his seat. He spoke with extreme respect and did not dare to be negligent. He was extremely excited. He did not expect that this saint alchemist who refined a peerless medicinal pill was actually the young master of his Shenyuan family. This matter was easy to handle. No matter what, the young lord would not help the other kingdoms. At that time, Qing Xian might become as powerful as a kingdom. I crossed over and came here. Something unexpected happened, so I can't leave Nandu County for the time being. Moreover, the matter of Qing Xian country has to start from here. Sigh, Shenyuan Bailing, that fellow, can't let me be at ease. I only came here for a stroll, but I didn't expect Qing Xian country to be like this. Tell him to mind his own business and ignore me. Even if the sky falls, I will still hold it up. After this seat has settled the matter here, I will naturally go to Qing Xian. This seat would like to see what the so-called kingdom of Qing Xian looks like. It is actually so arrogant. All right. I have to thank Miss Chu for saving me that day. Otherwise, I would have to sleep in the sea for a few days. Li Lingtian said calmly. There were some things that he did not explain, but Shenyuan Dao and the others naturally understood what was going on. Even if they were unclear about some things, they did not dare to ask. At the end of his sentence, he looked at Chu Meng. At this moment, Chu Meng was completely stunned. That day, it was young master who saved Chu Meng first. Chu Meng should have let young master take action. Chu Meng was stunned. Chu Tianlan, who was beside her, quickly pushed Chu Meng when she saw this. She was also very happy. Chu Meng was a little familiar with this young master. It would be much easier for her to do things in the future. They could be considered acquaintances. He was still in shock. He had never thought that this young man was actually the young master of the Qing Xian kingdom. He didn't even take the Shenyuan mausoleum seriously. To treat crossing worlds as a common occurrence, wasn't this a little too terrifying? Even if he was a martial monarch realm expert, he could not easily cross realms. A martial monarch realm expert could not cross realms at all. Even if Chu Meng was talking, she didn't know what she was saying. She had never expected that the young man who had saved her was a saint alchemist and the young lord. The young lord who did not even put the king of Qing Xian in his eyes. I didn't save you that day. You were just lucky. The light of space-time that I used to cross over just now killed the sea dragon beast. I've also suffered some injuries. Chu Tianlan, it's best if you pretend that you don't know about my presence here. Lord Nandu, you're in trouble, aren't you? Tell me some things about Nandu County. I need all the information here. Shenyuan Dao, when you go back, you should know what to say. There are some things that cannot be passed down to the 6 ears. Gather all the troops and forces together and listen to my arrangements. You guys can go back. Li Lingtian waved his hand and a storage pouch flew out. He then signaled for Shenyuan Dao and the other two to leave. This subordinate will take his leave first and wait for the arrival of the young master in the Qing Xian kingdom. Shenyuan Dao and Ping Qinglan bowed and left with their storage bags. Their faces were filled with respect. Chu Tianlan and her daughter were left alone in the living room. Naturally, Chu Tianlan understood what Li Lingtian wanted to do. Li Lingtian respectfully recounted some of the events in Nandu County. It was just as Li Lingtian had guessed. Young master is indeed resourceful. You saw the situation of Nandu County the moment you came out. In front of young master, I don't dare to hide anything. Nandu Prefecture is the place with the richest resources in Qingxian. In the entire area of 100 million miles, among the countless countries, our Nandu Prefecture has the best resources. Because Nandu County has an ancient spirit herb garden and a bottomless abyss in the boundless ocean. These two places are places where countless marine race and human race experts compete. To put it bluntly, Nandu County is a place of trouble. The bottomless abyss has countless powerful treasures and underwater resources. There is an endless world under the sea area. It's like another world. The entrance to the bottomless abyss and the spiritual herbal garden are both in Nandu County. In the past, the opening time of the two places was different. There would be a difference of several hundred years. But now, the time difference between the two places is only 1 year. Therefore, the experts from countless countries and commanderies have come here. They not only want the resources here, but also want to occupy this place forever. Chu Tianlan recounted some of the events in Nandu County with a bitter smile on her face. Nandu County was rich in resources. Even without the spiritual herbal gardens and the entrance to the bottomless abyss, this place was definitely a good place for cultivation. However, these two mysterious entrances were both in Nandu County, so they naturally brought endless destruction to Nandu County. As Li Lingtian listened, he enjoyed the service of the three beauties, the fragrant fruits, and the top-quality tea. He was also shocked by what happened in Nandu County. Often, places like this were places where experts and forces competed. They all wanted to control the endless resources in their hands. Naturally, Nandu Prefecture became a battleground for military strategists. In his heart he also thought so. He had to control Nandu County in his hands. If he couldn't control it, he had to destroy it. Qingxian country was undoubtedly the Shenyuan families. Naturally, they could not allow other kingdoms to take away the resources of Qingxian country. He was fighting for other people's resources. How could he let others fight for his? Two places. Which one opens in front? Li Lingtian secretly made up his mind as a smile appeared on his lips. He looked at Chu Tianlan with a sharp gaze. The two places were separated by a year. He could make use of this time gap to obtain the resources in both places. Not only that, but he also had to scheme against other experts. Otherwise, he would be letting himself down. Young master, the bottomless abyss will open first. It will only be open for half a year. In other words, the experts who can successfully come out of the bottomless abyss can enter the spiritual herbal garden. Chu Tianlan's heart skipped a beat when she saw the evil smile on Li Lingtian's face. He still could not understand why a saint alchemist was only at the martial arts grandmaster realm. Moreover, even a ninth firmament martial emperor powerhouse was so respectful. Could it be that he was hiding his cultivation base? Thinking about it, it was somewhat similar. Even though Li Lingtian's aura was heaven-defying, it gave him a feeling of destruction. You go back first. I will send someone to inform you if there is anything. Li Lingtian nodded and waved Chu Tianlan away. He had to use this time to plan and quickly recover some of his cultivation. With that, he tossed the two jade bottles out. Chu Tianlan and Chu Meng each received a bottle and left happily. Tang Ziming and Qing Ling looked at Li Lingtian as they watched the duo leave. Big brother Lingtian, do you think we should do something? Tang Ziming said with a smile as she snuggled into Li Lingtian's arms. Her proud chest pressed against Li Lingtian's body and the feeling of her firm and full body made Li Lingtian extremely excited. Now! Li Lingtian smiled as he looked at Tang Ziming, Qing Ling, and Xiao Xiao. Big brother Lingtian, what are you thinking? Meng Meng was only talking about Nandu County. What are you thinking about? Were you not satisfied with Sister Mei last night? Tang Ziming was taken aback as her face flushed red. Although she was Li Lingtian's wife, she was still extremely shy when Li Lingtian's thoughts went astray in broad daylight. However, by the end of her sentence, her small mouth had already moved close to Li Lingtian's ear. Her breath was like orchids, causing Li Lingtian's heart to go wild. Oh, so I was really thinking wrongly. How could I miss out on these matters? Isn't rushing to Nandu County to fight for the Shenyuan family's resources courting death? Li Lingtian replied with a smile. His face was filled with confidence. The aura from his entire body was also emitted. It was the aura of an expert, the aura of a disdainful person. I heard from Chu Tianlan that the bottomless abyss will only open in 2 months. We still have 2 months. In 2 months, Big Brother Ling Tian's cultivation base will have recovered long ago. When the time comes, I'll personally teach those jumping clowns a lesson. Tang Ziming said happily. Even though she was a wife, she was still as fun as a little girl. Since he's a clown, I can't just casually attack him. If I attack him, I won't be on the same level as a clown. Big Dragon. Li Lingtian smiled before he shouted outside. When he arrived, Long De left on his own accord and stood guard outside, not allowing anyone to enter. Young master. After Long De entered, he bowed respectfully and waited for instructions. During this period of time, ask around about some of the foreign experts and figure out their numbers and cultivation levels. Alright, go to the county city and look for a material called spiritual space stone. The more the better. Even if the county city doesn't have it, you have to find it in other counties and countries within a month. Li Lingtian began to give instructions. Although there were still 2 months left, he still had to prepare for some matters during these 2 months. With his own cultivation, he was naturally not afraid of ordinary experts. However, when facing countless experts, he was unable to do so. Therefore, no matter what, he had to make arrangements first. The opportunity was reserved for those who were prepared. Chapter 575. Heaven and Earth 5 Elements Formation. Spirit Spatial Stone? Tang Ziming and Qing Ling looked at Li Lingtian. Even though they did not know much about arrays and refining, they understood the value of the spiritual air stone. They were curious as to why Li Lingtian needed the spiritual air stone. Spiritual spatial stone is a material used to create array formations. It's used for teleportation array formations. The entrance to the bottomless abyss is in our Nandu County. We naturally have to make preparations and control this entrance in our hands. A wicked smile appeared on Li Lingtian's face. He had never been afraid of anyone when it came to array Dao. In the past, he had encountered some spiritual air stones, but the number was small, so he had no use for them. Now that the entrance to the bottomless abyss was right under his nose, he naturally had to use an array to control this entrance. If he wanted to enter, he would have to pay a portion of the money. This subordinate will do it now. Long De bowed respectfully and left. Although he did not need to go personally, he still had to give instructions to his subordinates. Li Lingtian could not afford to delay the things he wanted. He had to find them as soon as possible. Otherwise, what was the point of keeping a group of subordinates? Young master, you want to use this formation to earn spirit stones, right? Qing Ling looked at Li Lingtian and suddenly understood something. If the array was controlled, anyone who wanted to enter would have no choice but to listen to Li Lingtian's request. Although Li Lingtian could not ask for anything else, he could still earn some spiritual stones. Yes, you've been with me for so long. You're still not smart. Li Lingtian nodded and looked at Qing Ling with satisfaction. He had the same thought. That's because young master taught me well. Qing Ling's heart was filled with sweetness when she heard Li Lingtian's praise. Alright, then tonight, I'll teach you well. As Li Lingtian spoke, his eyes were filled with ambiguity. He reached out and pinched Qing Ling's perky buttocks, causing her to let out a soft moan. She looked at Li Lingtian shyly with a misty gaze, looking adorable and seductive. Naturally, she understood what Li Lingtian meant when he said he would teach her at night. She was always excited in front of Li Lingtian, and she would be happy even if Li Lingtian were to punish her on the spot. For the next few days, Li Lingtian focused on refining pills to recover his cultivation, cultivating his skills, and nourishing his treasures. He recovered 1 realm every day. After 8 days, Li Lingtian stopped cultivating. Now that his cultivation had reached rank 5 Martial Emperor, with such cultivation and heaven-defying methods, even a 9th-level martial honored realm expert would not be his match. On this day, Li Lingtian brought along Martial Saint Ming Luo, Heavenly Monster King, and Xiaobai with Chu Tianlan following behind. The The few of them drove the spaceship and quickly flew in the direction of the sea. After flying for a long time, they finally arrived at an island. Young master, the place where the bottomless abyss opened in the past is within 100 miles of here. I don't know the exact location either. Chu Tianlan bowed beside Li Ling Tian. His eyes would occasionally glance at Ming Luo and the heavenly monster king. He was afraid, but he did not know what he was afraid of. However, these two people gave him a feeling of extreme danger. Okay, you two guard this place. Li Ling Tian nodded before he sat down cross-legged and entered a state of clarity. Gradually, Li Ling Tian's aura became ethereal. Then, Li Ling Tian waved his hands and cast a series of magic arts. CC. Waves of fluctuations appeared in space. The waves in the sky and sea calmed down, but the space trembled. Divine Array Diagram. Sacrifice. Li Ling Tian activated his divine consciousness and a stream of light flashed between his brows. A 3-foot-long and 1-foot-wide brocade map appeared before him. The moment the brocade map appeared, the entire space trembled. At the same time, Li Ling Tian stood up and quickly cast a spell with both hands. As Li Ling Tian waved his hand, the divine array diagram emitted a mysterious golden light. Chu Tianlan was shocked when she saw Li Ling Tian's divine array diagram and magic art. Judging from his technique, he was clearly a superb array master. It was already enough for one person to have a cultivation base that was heaven-defying. However, Li Ling Tian was also a super holy array master and now a powerful array master. How could the other geniuses survive? Li Ling Tian's eyes gleamed as his lips curled into a smile. Retract. With a soft shout, Li Ling Tian pointed at the air with one hand. The divine array diagram turned into a stream of light and disappeared into Li Ling Tian's glabella. Li Ling Tian smiled faintly as he looked at the calm waters. Brother, how is it? Have you found the entrance? Xiaobai looked at the smile on Li Ling Tian's face but was unsure if Li Ling Tian had found the entrance to the bottomless abyss. Hence it asked. Chu Tianlan was also listening attentively. Although she did not dare to ask Li Ling Tian about it, she was extremely curious. Is there anything difficult in this world when your brother makes a move? Li Ling Tian smiled and reached out to pinch Little White's little face. This action was extremely natural. Little White allowed Li Ling Tian to do as he pleased. In this state it was very attached to Li Ling Tian. Of course, I knew that Big Brother is the most powerful expert in this world. Nothing can stop Big Brother. Xiaobai looked up at Li Ling Tian. Although they looked similar, their height and charm were different. Otherwise, they would be a clone of Li Ling Tian. Watch carefully. I'm going to make a move. Li Ling Tian let go of Little White and in a flash, he was suspended in the air. As Li Ling Tian waved his hands, countless spiritual air stones appeared in front of him. As Li Ling Tian waved his hands, countless spiritual air stones spun. Traces of mysterious aura appeared between heaven and earth. No one could understand these auras. Heaven and earth 5 elements formation. After countless incantations, Li Ling Tian's eyes sparkled. With a soft shout, the entire space began to tremble. It was at this moment that the spiritual airstone beside Li Ling Tian flew into the air. A mysterious starry sky appeared between the sky and the sea. The spirit space was petrified into stars. The twinkling stars seemed to be scattered, but they were moving in a mysterious trajectory. Tens of thousands of stars were moving, shocking Chu Tianlan. Suppress, hurry. After an unknown period of time, Li Ling Tian shouted softly again. The starry sky in the sky shot toward the bottom of the sea like a meteor. Crash! The seawater trembled continuously, and waves of splashing sounds could be heard. Boom, boom! An earth-shattering explosion followed, and the sea also began to churn. Chu Tianlan and the others on the island also felt a violent tremor. This situation was as if the end of the world had arrived. After a full 10 minutes, the sky and sea quieted down. Li Ling Tian was drenched in sweat and his face was covered in sweat. He looked extremely tired. Brother, are you done? Xiaobai waited for Li Ling Tian to return to the island before coming forward to support him. She took out a silk handkerchief to help Li Ling Tian wipe his sweat. After looking at Li Ling Tian with concern, she realized that Li Ling Tian was just too tired and needed to rest. All right, Let's go back. I'm a little tired. Li Lingtian nodded. As he watched the sky and sea quieten down, he spoke to Little White. Chu Tianlan was surprised. He handled it so easily? However, he also understood that he could not understand the world of array masters. Since Li Lingtian dared to say that he had succeeded, there would naturally be no problem. Immediately, the flying ship quickly flew into the distance. Li Lingtian and Xiao Bai were resting in the spaceship's room. Xiao Bai, you can go back. I just need to rest for a while. Call me when you reach the prefecture capital. Li Lingtian was in his room. When he saw that Little White was also in his room, he spoke. Although there was nothing going on between him and Xiao Bai, it was still inappropriate for him to sleep with a girl by his side. Then you should rest first. I'll call you when we arrive. Little White nodded and turned to leave the room. It brought Li Lingtian's room with it and cast a simple restriction. Although there were no enemies on the spaceship, she did not want anyone to disturb Li Lingtian's rest. The spacecraft soon entered the county city and Li Lingtian woke up from his sleep. However, he was still a little tired. He then returned to his residence. As for the other matters, Long Da would naturally take care of them. This time, he was a rank 5 martial emperor, so it was a little difficult for him to cast such a heaven-defying array. Fortunately, he succeeded in the end. This formation was called the Heaven and Earth 5 Elements Formation, and it was extremely powerful. More importantly, before the bottomless abyss appeared, there was nothing in this place. Even if an array master came, he might not be able to discover it unless he was someone with an array cultivation that was stronger than Li Lingtian. Even if the entrance to the bottomless abyss appeared, one would have to pass through the array formation to enter. In other words, one would have to obtain Li Lingtian's permission to enter. After resting for an entire day, Li Lingtian's spirit was fully restored. However, Shun Mei and Tang Qingyue accompanied him that night. The two women snuggled up to Li Lingtian and fell asleep contentedly. They did not follow Li Lingtian to have sex. As long as they were in Li Lingtian's arms, it was a blissful thing. When he woke up the next day, Li Lingtian looked at the remaining spiritual air stones and nodded in satisfaction. Husband, is this spirit spatial stone really that magical? Shun Mei knew that Long Da had found these stones a few days ago. She had searched the entire county city and finally found them. Similarly, Long Da's search for the spiritual air stone did not stop. As Li Lingtian had used this formation more than once, the more the merrier. Of course, this array relies on the spiritual air stone. After the array appears, if you want to enter the entrance, you have to listen to us. When the time comes, let's not talk about anything else. I believe that these experts won't be unwilling to take out some spirit stones. As Li Lingtian spoke with a smile, Tang Qingyue and Shun Mei helped him put on his clothes while laughing happily. Although their proud breasts were restrained by the tube top, they were still trembling with their laughter. Chapter 576. Unexpected Stimulation. 1. Seeing this, Li Lingtian's throat let out a grunt. Shun Mei and Tang Qingyue immediately understood what was going on, and they laughed even harder. They were even happier because Li Lingtian's actions showed that they were charming. Husband, can you be more promising? Shun Mei smiled happily as she spoke to Li Lingtian in a coquettish voice. Tang Qingyue nodded after she finished speaking. It's all because you're too beautiful. Can you blame me for this? As Li Lingtian spoke, a smile appeared on his lips as his gaze swept across the two women. Tang Qingyue and Shun Mei did not dodge at all. Instead, they allowed Li Lingtian to stare at them. Soon, the three of them walked out. Seeing that the other girls were cultivating, Li Lingtian and the other two quickly washed up and started cultivating. At noon, Li Lingtian had finished refining pills and was playing in the garden with Shen Yuan Yingying and the others when Xiao Xiao entered. Young Master, Long Da has sent news that there is an underground auction in Nandu County, and there is spiritual chilling ice there. Xiao Xiao approached Li Lingtian and relayed the news from Long Da to him. During this period of time, Long Da had basically been commanding his subordinates to search for natural treasures and inquire about the origins of some experts. The Li Residence's army was also established. With Li Lingtian's status, Chu Tianlan would not say a word even if he wanted the entire commandery's army. Moreover, he was eager to hand the army over to Li Lingtian. However, Li Lingtian had established his own guard army. The warriors who joined the guard army must be powerhouses above martial arts grandmaster. One could imagine the strength of such an army. Spirit cold ice. Li Lingtian's face was filled with astonishment before he broke into an excited smile. He had been searching for so long, but he had not expected to be discovered by accident. This was luck. He had been in the third heaven for a long time. He had the infinite sacred flame, but he didn't have the heaven and earth strange ice. If he wanted to break through, he had to reach the perfection of martial arts, and he also needed the two extreme forms of ice and fire. If he could obtain the spiritual chilling ice, he would have a chance to break through the third layer to the fourth layer. The power of the third level was already heaven-defying. He wondered how powerful the fourth level would be. Yes, this auction is an underground auction. Those who enter need to be introduced by acquaintances. There are some rare treasures that are not properly obtained. This spirit-freezing ice is one of them. Long De got the news from Chu Tianlan. I wonder if young master wants to go. If you do, Chu Tianlan can think of a way. Xiao Xiao looked at Li Lingtian and waited for his reply. Yes, of course I have to go. Go tell Long De that I need 3 spots. Li Lingtian pondered for a moment. It was impossible for him to give up on the spirit-chilling ice. Even if he could not purchase it with spiritual stones, he would have other means to obtain it. With his personality, he would definitely bring Tang Qingyue and the others along. However, it was obviously unrealistic to go to such an underground auction house too many times. So 3 spots were about enough. Of the 3 spots, he naturally brought the 2 girls along. As for safety, Marshal Saint Ming Luo and Heavenly Demon King were enough. They didn't need to enter the auction house. They could just wait outside. This was because fights were strictly prohibited in the auction house. It was useless to bring Marshal Saint Ming Luo in. All right, I'll tell Long De. After Xiao Xiao finished speaking, she left with a smile. Li Lingtian looked at Xiao Xiao with a smile on his face. This maid had been following him since he was young and she was still following him. He couldn't mistreat Xiao Xiao in the future. He already had several wives, so he didn't need Xiao Xiao anymore. With a few wives to take care of him, he didn't have to worry about anything. He just had to deal with the matters outside. Xiao Xiao following him was just for her to broaden her horizons. Lingtian, is there an auction? After Xiao Xiao left, he returned to the garden. Tang Qingyue and the others could naturally hear Li Lingtian's words, so they asked, "Oh right, who's coming with me?" Li Lingtian glanced at the girls. There were only 3 spots this time. Apart from him, he could bring 2 more people. However, there were a total of 11 girls and he did not know who to bring. Let's bring Yingying along. We can also bring Xiao Xiao or Qingping along. Yingying has never been to the auction house, so she should be the most suitable one. As for Xiao Xiao and the other 2, you can do as you see fit. Huangfu Yuyan and the others exchanged glances. They naturally understood that they couldn't all follow. In fact, they all wanted to go with Li Lingtian. However, when they thought of how many people there were, it would not be good if Li Lingtian put himself in a difficult position. Since they had already been there, it was only natural for them not to go. Shenyuan Yingying had to go. Although it was just for fun, it could create opportunities for them. Although the 3 maids were only maids, they had grown up with them and were like sisters. Since they were their maids, they were also Li Lingtian's maids. When a young lady got married, the maid would naturally give her a dowry. This was also the etiquette of this world. If Li Lingtian ignored them, they would be alone for the rest of their lives. Naturally, they could not bear to see that happen. Yes, Yingying, follow Lingtian and see how domineering your big brother Lingtian is. Tang Qingyue smiled as well. In front of Li Lingtian and his friends, she was definitely not an icy beauty but a gentle little woman. This was also her personality. She knew how to live. If she kept being cold, Li Lingtian would not be able to stand it, and neither would the other sisters. However, her cold demeanor when she was outside was as gentle as water when she was at home. This made Li Lingtian even more enticed. Really? Big brother Ling Tian has a lot of spirit stones. If I see something beautiful this time, I'll buy it all. If we don't use the spirit stones ruthlessly, how can we show my big brother Ling Tian's strength? Shenyuan Yingying was extremely happy. She was also grateful that these sisters took care of her. All the girls burst into laughter when she finished her sentence. They did not expect Shenyuan Yingying to have such a reason. However, they were not afraid because Li Lingtian's wealth was astounding. A few spiritual stones was nothing to him. Yingying, take a rest first. I'll call you later. Meng Meng, call Qingping over. When the time comes, bring Qingping along and let them broaden their horizons. After Li Lingtian finished speaking, he went to the pavilion in the garden and laid down on the stool to sleep. He enjoyed the birds chirping and the fragrance of the flowers as he listened to the crisp and sweet laughter. The entire garden was like a fairyland. As soon as he lay down, Shun Mei came to his side and rested Li Lingtian's head on her jade-like legs so that Li Lingtian could sleep better. Her slender and round legs carried a hint of a girl's body fragrance, and she was extremely intoxicated. Shun Mei hugged Li Lingtian's head as she watched him sleep quietly. At this moment, the man before her was the quietest. He had a handsome face, and even when he was sleeping, he gave off a manly and serene feeling. He was a powerful and heaven-defying genius who could topple all the girls in the world. He was the man that she, Shun Mei loved. Waking up to rule the world, drunk on the knees of a beauty. This was the most carefree life. Even the gods would be envious. This sleep lasted for 4 hours before Li Lingtian woke up. No matter what auction it was, it could only be held at night, so he had to rest well during the day so that he would be energetic at night. Yes, just right. After Li Lingtian woke up, he looked at the sky and nodded in satisfaction. Standing up, he saw that Shun Mei had been hugging his head for 4 hours. Even a man wouldn't be able to stand it, let alone a delicate beauty. His legs would definitely be stiff. Mei was about to call out to husband when husband woke up first. After Shun Mei let go of Li Lingtian, she spoke in a sweet voice. Her appearance was indescribably adorable. Chapter 577. Qingping 1. The two of them left the garden and arrived at the front hall. Seeing that Shenyuan Yingying and Qingping were already waiting for them, Li Lingtian and Li Lingtian walked in with smiles on their faces. Big brother Lingtian, you still said you wanted to wake me up. What time is it already, and you're still sleeping? Shenyuan Yingying said coquettishly as soon as she saw Li Lingtian enter. She tugged at Li Lingtian's sleeve unwillingly. I overslept. I'm not late now. Li Lingtian replied with a smile. He and Shun Mei knew that they did not oversleep initially. However, Shun Mei had spent quite some time helping Li Lingtian. Shun Mei's face could not help but turn red. Shenyuan Yingying had been with Li Lingtian's wife for a long time, so she could not hide from her gaze. She immediately noticed something. Her beautiful eyes stared at Shun Mei and a sly smile appeared on her face. Sister Mei you've done something bad. This girl knew that Shun Mei was shy, but she insisted on saying it, making Shun Mei even more shy. Li Lingtian looked at Shun Mei's expression and his heart stirred. Go, go, go. What bad things are you doing? Besides, we're husband and wife. It's normal for us to do things. How can you say that it's a bad thing? Li Lingtian extended his hand and tapped Shenyuan Yingying's forehead as he stared at her. Then he smiled and said it. He couldn't escape Shenyuan Yingying's gaze, so he didn't say anything. Young master. Qingping served a cup of fragrant tea to Li Lingtian as she called out in a sweet voice. Li Lingtian nodded in satisfaction at her well-behaved appearance before he sat down on the chair. Lingtian, you're going to bring a guard with you today, right? Although Nandu County doesn't have any experts, it's not safe during this period of time. Tang Qingyue said after Li Lingtian sat down. The others were all there. They nodded in agreement when they heard Tang Qingyue's words. They were extremely concerned about Li Lingtian's safety. They were not concerned about it at other times, but now that Li Lingtian's cultivation base had fallen, he was in danger all too often. I will bring Ming Luo and Tian Yao. Long Da and Yun Hao will protect you in the mansion. Li Lingtian's heart was filled with warmth. In Nandu County City, no one dared to fight easily. However, this auction was held outside the city. This was because underground auctions were not allowed in the city. After all, these treasures were not from a clean source, and they were worried that they would cause trouble for the county city. Moreover, after opening an underground auction, one could fight for treasures after leaving the auction. This was also one of the cruel keys. Countless experts who didn't have many spirit stones also participated. This was because after participating, they didn't get what they wanted, so they would directly fight. That was also why Li Lingtian brought Ming Luo and the heavenly demon along. The heavenly demon's strength had already reached the peak of the second heavenly layer of the martial saint realm. It only needed a supreme heavenly demon pill to achieve a breakthrough. However, Li Lingtian did not dare to refine a supreme heavenly demon pill with his current cultivation. Otherwise, it would affect the recovery of his cultivation base. Naturally, the heavenly monster king dared not ask Li Lingtian to refine the supreme heavenly monster pill. If it affected Li Lingtian's cultivation base, it would not be worth it. As long as Li Lingtian's cultivation base was restored to the third firmament martial emperor realm, he would be able to refine the supreme heavenly monster pill. He was not in a hurry to do so in a few days. Yes, that's good. With a heavenly demon monarch's cultivation, he can even resist a fourth firmament martial saint. Although Ming Luo is only at the second heaven, she can definitely sweep through Nandu County. She can also protect Qingping and Yingying. Shun Mei nodded. She was extremely happy with Li Lingtian's arrangement. To them, Li Lingtian's safety was more important than their own safety. They would rather be injured than to see Li Lingtian get hurt. That's right. After my cultivation recovers, I'll raise their cultivation by 1 realm. That way, I'll be able to relax a little. Li Lingtian looked at the sky before he stood up. It was just in time to head to the auction house or he would be late. Tang Qingyue and Huangfu Yuyan stood up as well and helped Li Lingtian tidy his clothes. It was a wife's duty and pride to keep their man neat and tidy whenever he went out. Even though Li Lingtian's clothes were not in a mess, his actions were extremely heartwarming. Subsequently, the girls escorted Li Lingtian to the front yard before stopping. Li Lingtian led Shenyuan Yingying and Qingping outside. Shenyuan Yingying naturally held Li Lingtian's arm, looking extremely warm. On the other hand, Qingping was much more restrained. She had been following behind Li Lingtian and the other man at an unhurried pace. When Li Lingtian saw this, he stopped and turned around to hold Qingping's hand. Immediately, he felt Qingping's small hand tremble, and his body seemed to have been electrocuted. She subconsciously struggled for a moment, but in the end, there was no movement at all. Her small face was flushed. Her heart was filled with sweetness. As the lady's maid, it was only natural for her to marry him off. Li Lingtian was a genius who could charm any girl in the world. She was also extremely envious of being with the young miss, but she understood her status. With Li Lingtian's excellence and status, she naturally did not stand a chance. She could only watch silently. Now, her mind went blank as she did not expect Li Lingtian to hold her hand. Her entire body trembled as if she had been electrocuted. She had never come into contact with a man before, let alone been held by a man. Naturally, she had such a reaction. Her entire body was extremely numb. Let's go. Li Lingtian smiled when he saw Qingping's expression. He understood what Huangfu Yuyan and the others meant. If the 3 maids followed them, they would naturally not be able to get married in the future. He naturally would not let them suffer. Yes. Qingping's mind was completely blank as Li Lingtian held her hand. Excitement, happiness, and sweetness assaulted her heart. He had never thought that such a day would come. However, when this day arrived, he felt a little uncomfortable. It had come too suddenly. She didn't know how she came to the auction house. Only after she entered the auction house did she know. As she sat in her seat, she could not help but steal a glance at Li Lingtian. Her heart was thumping non-stop. In the past, she admired Li Lingtian and never thought that she would have the chance to get close to him. She did not expect Li Lingtian to take notice of her. After all, Li Lingtian's identity was too heaven-defying. The distance between them was like that between a god and an ant. Li Lingtian nodded from time to time when he saw Li Lingtian and Shen Yuan Yingying chattering non-stop. Although he was envious, he was already satisfied. At that moment, Li Lingtian happened to be looking at Qingping when she was peeking at him. Qingping immediately lowered her head in panic, her heart racing. "Qingping, if you see something you like later, buy it and buy some for them." Naturally, Li Lingtian knew that Qingping was peeking at him. He was only pretending not to know so that Qingping would not feel uncomfortable. He was also extremely moved by this little girl's appearance. Although this little girl was not as beautiful as Tang Ziming and the others, she was still a one-in-a-million beauty. "Yes, Qingping will remember." Qingping replied softly, but her heart was still trembling. This feeling was mixed with fear, anticipation, and excitement. "Qingping, your big brother Ling Tian's servant girl. Is there a need to be so shy? I've decided. Tonight, you'll serve big brother Ling Tian." Shen Yuan Yingying also doted on Qingping when she saw her. This cute and shy little girl was indeed cute. Li Lingtian was rendered speechless when he heard Shen Yuan Yingying's words. What did she mean by she could decide? Who was going to serve him? Was Shen Yuan Yingying the one deciding? Qingping became even more shy when she heard Shen Yuan Yingying's words. How could a girl tolerate such words? "Yingying." Li Lingtian glared at Shen Yuan Yingying as he spoke in a low voice. At this moment, there were hundreds of powerhouses in the auction house. Naturally, he could not speak carelessly. In fact, even if they spoke very softly, many super experts could hear them. However, Shen Yuan Yingying obediently stopped teasing Qingping after Li Lingtian stopped her. Qingping was slightly relieved, but she was a little disappointed. Li Lingtian scanned the auction hall with his divine consciousness and noticed that there were many powerhouses present. Although most of them were martial emperors and martial venerables, there were also quite a number of martial emperors and even a few 9th-level martial emperors. Seeing these powerhouses, Li Lingtian felt much more relaxed about tonight's competition. He wasn't worried that he wouldn't be able to compete for the treasure. He just didn't want to waste spirit stones. If he met a powerful competitor, even if he won the competition, he would still waste a lot of spirit stones. In his heart, he had never worried about his wealth. His spirit stones and wealth were simply something that 5 people could compare to. If he ran out of spirit stones, he could just sell some of the treasures in his divine dragon ring or refine some peerless pills. Then, spirit stones would come rolling in. Time slowly passed, and the auction began. Shen Yuan Yingying and Qingping were extremely excited because it was their first time in such a place. "Welcome to our auction house. I am Dugu Zhan. Greetings to all of you." At this moment, a middle-aged powerhouse walked out of the auction house. He was at the second heaven of the martial emperor realm. After all, the underground auction was not as luxurious as other official auction houses. It was only temporary. However, the items in this auction house were definitely not fake. Otherwise, no one would come to the underground auction house to trade. Dugu Zhan saluted the thousands of warriors with a greedy smile on his face. He didn't look like an expert at all, but more like a businessman. Although this is an underground auction hall and isn't suitable for normal auctions, the items and treasures here are hard to find anywhere else. Similarly, the highest bidder wins here. We can't fight in the auction hall. Dugu Zhan emphasized the rules of the underground auction house. He didn't hide anything and directly spoke about the situation of the underground auction house. However, this wasn't important. The important thing was that martial artists needed powerful and precious treasures and items, regardless of the situation of the auction house. However, this statement resonated with all the martial artists, and they also accepted the existence of the underground auction house. This was because the people in the underground auction house were direct and did not have the slightest bit of falsehood. I recommend the new book, Ancient Sage Myriad Ancient King. I welcome everyone to read and save it. I also want to vote for it. The new book needs everyone's support. Only with everyone's support can the new book go further. Chapter 578. Teasing Wu Zun. Alright, I won't be long-winded. Now, the auction officially begins. The first item is a high-grade heaven artifact. It's a heaven weapon of the wood attribute. It can increase the life force of a wood martial spirit expert. When a wood martial spirit expert uses this upper-grade heaven weapon, his strength will increase by 10%. It's the green melon sword. Dugujan took out a brocade box. An exquisite short sword slowly floated in the brocade box. The short sword exuded a strong wood elemental aura. Li Lingtian could feel the power of a superior-grade celestial weapon even though he was sitting in the middle. Indeed, this green melon sword was a high-grade celestial artifact, and a very precious one at that. Li Lingtian was not surprised by the verdant melon sword, but he had come to the right place. Since the first item was already a superior-grade celestial artifact, there should be more valuable items after that. Even though his target was the spirit freezing ice, he would not let go of the other treasures that he had encountered. The starting bid for the green melon sword is 2 million low-grade spirit stones. Each increment is 2 million. Dugujan looked at the countless wood martial soul experts below, and his eyes flashed with a bright light. He was obviously very interested in this science sword. Even though the majority of wood element cultivators were women, the auction house was basically filled with men. There were very few female cultivators. Li Lingtian scanned the room when he entered and found that there were only a dozen female cultivators. The azure melon sword was a very good treasure. For some martial emperors and martial supremes, it was already very difficult to obtain a heaven artifact. After all, a saint artifact was rare and could only be found by chance. No matter where they were, heaven artifacts were basically the treasures of martial emperors and martial venerables. Even martial emperors used heaven artifacts. The powerhouses who used saint weapons were basically all heaven-defying martial emperor and martial saint powerhouses. Heaven artifacts were good, but this price was also a price. The base price was 2 million, and each increment was 10 million. Thus this base price alone was hard for many martial emperors to bear. No million low-grade spirit stones. 120 million low-grade spirit stones. However, there were still quite a number of wood elemental experts who started to compete for it. Heaven artifacts were hard to come by, and high-grade heaven artifacts were even rarer. Generally speaking, the competition for attributed treasures was not that intense. After all, treasures with attributes were only suitable for warriors with the corresponding attributes. If a water martial spirit expert used a fire attribute treasure, it would be simply courting death. Not only was he unable to unleash his powerful might, but he was also restraining himself. He was unable to even unleash his own might, and he would often be driven into chi deviation. Big brother Ling Tian, I want to try something so fun, okay? Shenyuan Yingying looked at the fierce competition below and her curiosity was immediately aroused. Although she cultivated the wood element, she could not use such a heaven artifact at all. She merely thought that the competition was fun. As she spoke, she looked at Li Lingtian with a questioning expression. Although Shenyuan Yingying was mischievous and lively, she would only be like this when it came to unimportant matters. However, she would never be like this when it came to real matters. Now that it was a matter of spiritual stones, it was naturally up to Li Lingtian. It's fun. Then let's give it a try. Your big brother Lingtian doesn't lack spirit stones. Li Lingtian was extremely satisfied when he saw Shenyuan Yingying's expression. This little girl knew her place. When she spoke, she even gave Shenyuan Yingying an encouraging look. At the same time, he turned to Qingping and gave her an encouraging look. Qingping's heart thumped wildly. Even though it was just a glance, it was enough to satisfy her. It meant that Li Lingtian had her in his eyes. 310 million. When Shenyuan Yingying saw that the others had raised the bid to 300 million, she immediately raised it by 10 million. After raising the bid, she suddenly felt a strange excitement in her heart. This feeling was very fun. After all, this was a competition with spirit stones, and it was a competition with countless experts. Young master, I want to play too. Qingping looked at Shenyuan Yingying's expression and was also playful. Although she was shy, she was still playful. As she spoke, she kept her head lowered, afraid to look at Li Lingtian. However, at that moment, Li Lingtian reached out and hooked her chin with a faint smile on his face. Qingping felt even more embarrassed. Back when she was with Tang Ziming, she would often hang out with Li Lingtian. However, after Li Lingtian held her hand tonight, she felt a huge change. Will I eat you? If you want to play, then play. Don't restrain yourself in front of me in the future. The smile on Li Lingtian's face widened as he pinched Qingping's cheek. Yes, Qingping understands. Qingping's heart was thumping. She felt even more blissful after hearing Li Lingtian's words. At first, she thought that Li Lingtian was bullying her, but when she finally realized that he was not bullying her but was not trying to restrain her, she was touched. 360 million. 370 million. 380 million. After all, only 1/5 of the martial artists had wood-type martial souls, so there weren't many people competing. How many people would be able to take out hundreds of millions of spirit stones? Even if these martial emperors, martial supremacies, or the core figures of a force or family, spirit stones were still very rare to them. 400 million low-grade spirit stones. After the other martial artists finished adding, Qingping shouted 400 million. After shouting, her heart pounded. What was even funnier was that the other warriors were looking at Li Lingtian in unison. Martial artists were competing. Every time a martial artist raised the price, they would be noticed. Not long after Shenyuan Yingying, who was standing beside Li Lingtian, raised her bid, another beautiful girl raised her bid. As such, the powerhouses naturally understood that the two girls were just fooling around. Using spirit stones to play around was too much. But so what? He could afford it. 410 million spirit stones. A second-level Supreme Realm expert raised the price. 420 million spirit stones. When Shenyuan Yingying saw that someone had increased the bid by 10 million, the excitement on her face did not decrease at all. 430 million spirit stones. Another Supreme Realm expert increased the price to 430 million spiritual stones. 440 million spirit stones. This voice came from Qingping. Instantly, all the martial artists quieted down. What the fuck was going on? The two girls were together and clearly had a good relationship. The competition between the two of them was no joke. 450 million. 460 million. 470 million. 480 million. For a moment, Shenyuan Yingying, Qingping, and the other two Supreme Realm experts kept increasing the price. Everyone increased the price again and again. 700 million low-grade spirit stones. The second-level Supreme Realm expert's face revealed a sinister expression as the price continued to rise. When Qingping called out 690 million, he did not hesitate to call out 700 million. However, the second-level martial honored realm expert's face was filled with black lines. Big brother Ling Tian, it's not fun anymore. I'm not playing anymore. Young master, I'm not playing anymore. Shenyuan Yingying and Qingping said it at the same time, making all the warriors feel uncomfortable. He had thought that the two girls would keep bidding, but he never expected them to stop bidding at the same time. They actually said that it was no longer fun. You, the second-level Supreme Realm expert who had shouted 700 million had an ashen face and looked extremely ugly. 700 million spirit stones far exceeded the price of a high-grade celestial artifact. Moreover, to a revered martial artist, 700 million spirit stones was like drawing his blood. It was almost all of his wealth. How could these warriors compete with Li Lingtian in spiritual stones? Li Lingtian had more than 4 trillion spiritual stones in his divine dragon ring, along with countless weapons and treasures, jade slips, cultivation techniques, materials, and herbs. All of this added up to a shocking number. With his status as a saint alchemist, the peerless pills he refined could shake the entire divine martial continent. Not to mention a warrior, even a super sect or super kingdom might not dare to compare their wealth to him. Kiki. He. It's too fun, big brother Ling Tian. I still want to play later. That's right. Young master. Wait a moment. We still have to continue. The two girls completely ignored the middle-aged powerhouse who was at the second heaven martial honored realm. Instead, they acted coquettishly beside Li Lingtian. All the warriors were speechless and felt depressed. If they met these two little girls during the competition, they would be finished. However, to be honest, one of these two little girls was a peerless beauty, a unique beauty in the world, and the other was also a 1 in 10,000 existence. If he could get his hands on that peerless beauty, It would be worth it even if he lost a few decades of his life. They had never thought that there would be such a stunning beauty in this world. Instantly, countless experts revealed greedy looks in their eyes. If you want to play, then play. Li Lingtian looked at the two girls and realized that they were obviously trying to draw hatred for him. However, he did not care at all. A mere martial honor or martial emperor was not worthy of being his opponent at all. Moreover, as long as the people around him liked it, he would find a way to get his hands on the entire divine martial continent, let alone the spiritual stones. A mere spirit stone was nothing. He had brought the two girls along to play this time, so he naturally wouldn't let them down. 700 million spirit stones going once. Is there anyone else who wishes to raise the bid? Dugujan was elated when he saw the two girls beside Li Lingtian. If the two girls continued like this, the price would increase. However, he was a little worried that other martial artists would be afraid of the two girls and not dare to compete. 700 million spirit stones going twice. 700 million spirit stones going thrice. Congratulations to number 480 for obtaining the green melon sword. Dugujan knew that no one else would raise the price, but the rules still had to be followed. When the hammer was knocked down, he asked a maid beside him to bring the brocade box to the second-level martial honored realm expert. At this moment, the second-level supreme realm expert had already hated Shenyuan Yingying and the other two women to the bone. 700 million spirit stones were gone just like that. Although he had obtained a heaven artifact, this heaven artifact was too expensive. Chapter 579. Mysterious Item. The first item ended just like that. Then, the second item appeared. It was also a heaven artifact, but it was much more powerful than the green melon sword. Now, let's begin the auction for the second item. The originally lively auction hall gradually quieted down after Dugujan's words. In the auction house, everyone knew that the later the item was, the more precious it would be. The first item was already a saint artifact, and it was a high-grade saint artifact at that. The second item naturally wouldn't be any worse. This item is also a weapon. High-grade celestial artifact. However, this item has no restrictions on its attributes. It's an offensive treasure. Dugujan had a faint smile on his face, but he didn't take out the item. This was just to spoil the taste and keep people guessing. The more curious the experts were, the more intense the competition would be. These were the usual methods of the auctioneer, but the other martial artists knew this, but they still followed the other party's trap. A heaven artifact without any attributes. It's an attack-type treasure. Its power is shocking. Sky-breaking shuttle. A high-grade celestial weapon. It can ignore the defense of any treasure of the same grade. At this point, Dugujan no longer kept them in suspense. He understood that no matter what, there was a limit to it. If it caused the strong to be disgusted, then the gains would not make up for the losses. He opened a brocade box. Inside the brocade box lay a 1-foot-long shuttle-shaped treasure. It had a golden light on it and gave off an indestructible feeling. A terrifying destructive aura was also emitted from the auction house, causing some martial artists with lower cultivation to circulate their cultivation methods to resist the terrifying aura of the sky-breaking shuttle. Sky-breaking shuttle. High-grade celestial artifacts can ignore the defense of treasures of the same grade. A high-grade celestial artifact without any attributes is indeed not simple. If there was such a treasure, it would be a good treasure to destroy a high-grade celestial artifact. In an instant, countless voices of discussion rang out. Dugujan didn't stop them. Instead, he looked at the discussions of the martial artists below. The more martial artists talked about this treasure, the more attention the treasure would receive. When the time came, the competition would be even more intense. Li Lingtian smiled faintly as he watched the martial artists' discussion in the auction house. Normally, he would not auction off the treasures in the auction house unless the girl beside him liked it. He did not need the treasures in the auction house. He only needed some heaven-defying materials. I believe that all of you know the power of the sky-breaking shuttle better than me. The starting price of the sky-breaking shuttle is also 100 million, and each increment is also 10 million. Dugujan seized the opportunity and began to speak again. He stated the starting price and the increase in the price of the heaven-breaking shuttle. In the auction house, the starting price did not have to be very high. It mainly depended on the intensity of the competition, or how much the expert needed, and more importantly, the number of spirit stones in the expert's hands. By the time he said the base price and the increase, the other experts could not wait any longer. The previous item was a high-grade heaven weapon. However, the green melon sword could only be used by a strong warrior with a wood-type martial soul. However, this sky-breaking shuttle could be used by any warrior. 150 million spirit stones. 180 million spirit stones. 230 million spirit stones. The intensity of the competition surprised Li Lingtian. However, he immediately realized that he didn't even want the celestial artifact. He didn't need it. Even if it was given to him for free, he wouldn't want it. He wouldn't even accept a saint artifact, let alone a heaven artifact. This was because he had countless treasures in his hands. He didn't even want the saint weapons. He only had the supreme saint weapons, the Sky Universe Sword and the Heavenly Fault Sword. As for the rest, he would use divine weapons. With his cultivation and strength, a saint artifact was no longer of much use. However, the powerhouses before him were different. They were not as terrifying as Li Lingtian and were still relying on the power of the treasure. 930 million low-grade spiritual stones. 940 million low-grade spirit stones. Finally, the price reached 900 million. But the competition was relatively weak at this time. After all, it was 900 million, not 90,000. Even if these people were martial emperors, martial supremes, or even martial sovereigns, it was still a little difficult to get 900 million spiritual stones. As the saying goes, a man with money is a man, but a man without money is also in trouble. Although it was rare for experts to encounter this sentence, they would only truly understand the true meaning of this sentence when they encountered a real need for sky-high spirit stones. Big Brother Ling Tian, do you think this price is proportional to the heaven-breaking shuttle? Shenyuan Yingying was curious as she watched so many experts compete for a treasure. She had no idea what was going on in the past. After following Li Lingtian, she had seen many things, but she had no idea about the price and value of the treasure. However, the moment she opened her mouth, it caused countless experts to misunderstand. They thought that this peerless beauty wanted to participate in the battle, which immediately made countless martial artists subconsciously feel afraid. What are you looking at? That treasure is so ugly. Even if you give it to me, I won't take it. Shenyuan Yingying saw that many warriors were looking at her. She immediately pouted and said fiercely, thinking that she was very fierce. However, she did not know that not only was she not fierce, but she was even cuter. When all the martial artists saw Shenyuan Yingying's expression, they immediately felt amused. Their hostility towards Shenyuan Yingying also decreased a lot. After all, this girl was very direct and was an unparalleled beauty. However, Shenyuan Yingying's words made more martial artists pause and almost vomit blood. What did he mean by ugly to death? This was clearly a powerful treasure, but he still said it was ugly. After hearing Shenyuan Yingying's words, those experts who were competing for the sky-breaking shuttle felt relieved. At least they wouldn't be disturbed by this girl. Everyone has different bottom lines and needs. For those who need it, even if this weapon costs 100 billion, there will still be people fighting to buy it. For those who don't need it, even if it costs 100 spirit stones, they won't necessarily buy it. The price is worth it, and the people have their needs. Their true meaning is not the same. The price and value are often not proportional, but in the eyes of the people who need it, it is proportional. Then let me tell you. Although this heaven artifact is powerful, I don't need it. However, if you give me a good medicinal herb, I'll choose the medicinal herb over the heaven artifact. Li Lingtian spoke calmly. Although his voice was not loud, it was not soft either. At least, the powerhouses nearby could hear him. Initially, they felt disdain when they heard Li Lingtian's comments. However, Li Lingtian's words were reasonable and no one dared to object. I see. Big Brother Lingtian is right. Take me as an example. If there's a beautiful treasure, I'd naturally want it, but this sky-breaking shuttle is really ugly. I wouldn't want it even if you gave it to me. Shenyuan Yingying's expression was as if she had seen it before. Moreover, The expression on her small face was extremely serious. In the eyes of outsiders, she didn't look pretentious at all. This was what Shen Yuan Yingying meant. Qingping listened attentively from the side. Li Lingtian was usually happy when he was joking, but he was serious when he was doing things. The three of them discussed happily. The second item was successfully auctioned off at a price of 1.3 billion. 1.3 billion for a high-grade heaven artifact. How should he put it? Those who thought it was worth it would think it was worth it. Those who thought it wasn't worth it would think it was a heaven-defying price. The third item was a peerless grade fire attribute heavenly weapon. Even if it was only a fire attribute heavenly weapon, its price was still shocking. A peerless fire-type heaven artifact, sold for 2 billion low-grade spirit stones. Li Lingtian was satisfied with the fire-type peerless heavenly weapon, but that was all. The girls around him were all extremely talented geniuses. They were all proud daughters of heaven that were 1 in a billion. Similarly, they had all 5 elements, but he had no intention of buying these treasures because they all had saint artifacts. The third item has been successfully auctioned. Now, let's begin the auction for the fourth item. The fourth item might be of great interest to all of you. Even I don't know what this item is. Please help me to appraise it. Those who recognize this item, we will auction it according to this price. Dugu Zhan's face revealed a look of anticipation. No one had recognized this item until now. Not only him, but all the warriors in the auction house were curious. It was the first time they had heard of an item being auctioned in the auction house. Li Lingtian's face was filled with curiosity as a smile appeared on his lips. He had participated in many auctions, and his knowledge was vast. He had a certain understanding of demons, humans, demons, and dragons. It could be said that he knew almost everything. Sir Dugu, what is this thing? Yeah, take it out for us to see. Let us have a look. We also want to see what it is. There are also things that Sir Dugu doesn't recognize. It's really hard to imagine. Brother Dugu, your master is a martial saint. Don't you know him? For a moment, countless experts were extremely curious. Those who knew about this auction house were even more shocked because they knew the person behind this auction house. A treasure that even a martial saint powerhouse did not recognize was really not simple. Sirs, you flatter me. Dugu Zhan didn't say anything. Instead, an old man in his 50s walked out from the small door behind him. The old man emitted a powerful aura. This aura immediately made all the experts feel oppressed. A martial monarch and a martial supremacy were suppressed by this aura. Even a martial emperor was slightly suppressed. This was something that the old man had done unintentionally. If he really made a move, all the powerhouses present would be crushed to death by the old man's pressure. A martial saint. Countless martial artists exclaimed in their hearts, but none of them dared to speak. He could only look at the old man in shock and understand the identity of this old man. This old man was Dugu Zhan's master, a martial saint. Only a martial saint would have such a martial saint's pressure and aura. Li Lingtian was the only one who did not move. Even though he was suppressed by the aura, he was not shocked at all. In the past, not to mention the pressure of a martial saint, he had even killed a martial saint. However, he was even more curious. What was this item that even a martial saint expert did not recognize? His eyes were also looking at the old man in front of him, waiting for the old man to take out that mysterious item. Chapter 580. Fighting against each other. As soon as the old man finished speaking, he had already arrived at the front of the stage. Dugu Zhan respectfully bowed to the old man and took a step back to show his respect. The old man ignored Dugu Zhan and opened a jade box in his hand. The jade box was about a foot in size and exuded an ancient aura. Everyone could only see the jade box and not the things inside. Because this jade box had isolated all cultivators' soul consciousness, if one wanted to see what was inside, they had to break that mysterious restriction. However, in front of this old man, who would have the guts to act rashly? There are 2 sets of items in this jade box. 2 identical items, but I found many appraisers who couldn't recognize them. So if you know them, tell me their origin and value, and this item will be auctioned according to its value. Similarly, You can also use items to exchange for it. The old man spoke indifferently. His eyes were like torches as he looked at all the martial artists in the auction hall. There was a faint disappointment in his eyes because there were only martial emperor powerhouses here. There was not even a single martial saint. However, it was a last resort. He wanted to try anyway. After the old man finished speaking, he slowly opened the restriction on the jade box without waiting for the other warriors to speak. Li Lingtian had been staring at the old man. However, when he saw the old man's appearance, his heart trembled. He secretly opened his divine soul eyes and looked at the old man. Suddenly, a strange feeling appeared in his heart. There seemed to be something wrong with this old man, but he did not know what the problem was. Because this old man was a martial saint expert, he did not dare to look at the old man seriously with his divine soul eyes in case he was discovered. He only felt that there was something wrong with this old man. He did not know what exactly was wrong. If one used the eye of the divine soul to observe carefully, they would definitely be able to see what the old man was thinking. However, the moment Li Lingtian saw the jade box's restriction activated, he felt as if his heart had been struck by a heavy blow. The restriction on the jade box was activated, and a dark blue crystal that was half a foot long and wide appeared in his sight. This crystal had no regular shape. This was because this crystal had not been carved or polished. It was a raw stone. It was rare to encounter a dark blue crystal. Moreover, this crystal had a mysterious flowing light flashing inside. It was indescribably mysterious. More importantly, there was a mysterious aura within the dark blue crystal. The aura carried spirituality and would waver from time to time. If it was not for Li Lingtian's divine soul vision, he would not have noticed it. Pill Tribulation Lightning Essence. Li Lingtian exclaimed in his heart. His expression changed drastically before it turned into one of excitement. As a doctor and a super pill saint master, as well as an ancient pill master, he naturally recognized this Pill Tribulation Thunder Essence. This Pill Tribulation Thunder Essence was useless to ordinary pill masters, but to level 6 and above pill masters, it was a heaven-defying treasure. The name of this Pill Tribulation Lightning Essence explained its use. It gathered heavenly lightning and lightning tribulation to form a pill tribulation. As long as it was a 6th grade medicinal pill, 1/10 of the pill tribulation would descend. It would be a lie to say that such an existence was not heaven-defying. The drastic change in his expression attracted the attention of Qingping and Shenyuan Yingying. The elder in front also noticed the change in Li Lingtian. This was because Li Lingtian could not calm himself down in time after seeing the Elixir Tribulation Thunder Essence. A sudden change betrayed him. This kind of thing had never happened before. However, this time, he was betrayed by a Pill Tribulation Lightning Essence. This was the only time. This was also because of the Pill Tribulation Lightning Essence's heaven-defying nature. In the past, even if he obtained a divine artifact and obtained heaven-defying benefits, he would not be so shocked. However, now that such an expression had appeared, he couldn't hide it anymore. He wanted to obtain this Pill Tribulation Lightning Essence, and not only that, he also wanted to obtain the other one. No matter the price, he had to obtain this Pill Tribulation Lightning Essence. Do you know the origin of this item? The old man waited for a long time, but no one in the auction house knew what the item was. The old man's gaze was directed at Li Lingtian. When he spoke, he sounded polite, but his tone was domineering. He displayed the might of a martial saint to the extreme. If it was in front of other martial artists, no one would have such a feeling because they had already adapted to the arrogance of a high-level expert to a low-level martial artist. However, Li Lingtian was not used to this feeling. To dare to be so domineering in front of him, that was courting death. However, now was not the time to touch him. After obtaining the Pill Tribulation Lightning Essence, he would slowly deal with him. I have a little bit of knowledge about this item. Li Lingtian replied calmly with a faint smile on his face. Others might not know what Li Lingtian was thinking, but Qingping could tell that his young master's smile was filled with killing intent. All the warriors were shocked when Li Lingtian mentioned it. They were surprised that a martial royal realm powerhouse would know about an item that even a martial saint powerhouse did not know about. I wonder if you can tell me what this is and its specific use. The old man's aura surged. It was obvious that he was threatening Li Lingtian with his shocking dignity. The warrior knew the origin of the item, so he naturally wanted to know what it was. However, he was worried that Li Lingtian was lying, so he used his powerful aura to force Li Lingtian to speak the truth. However, he had found the wrong person. The more Li Lingtian thought about it, the more murderous he felt. He was certain that this warrior sage powerhouse was about to fall, and he wanted him to regret his bad luck. The crystal in Senior's hand is a Tribulation Lightning Essence. Li Lingtian did not reveal anything on his face, but he respectfully told her the origin of the Elixir Tribulation Thunder Essence. He didn't need to say anything more. These martial artists were all smart people, so they naturally broke it with 1 point. Even if he didn't know what the Pill Tribulation Lightning Essence was used for, he knew what it was used for just by hearing its name. Pill Tribulation Lightning Essence? Pill Tribulation Lightning Essence. Could it be a crystal to attract the Pill Tribulation? I didn't expect such a powerful existence to exist in this world. All of a sudden, everyone was shocked. The old man was even more shocked. However, his eyes revealed a trace of disappointment because this thing was no longer useful to him. Li Lingtian had been paying attention to the changes in the old man's expression, but he did not notice anything wrong with him. The more Li Lingtian thought about it, the more he felt that something was amiss. This was because the old man was too good at hiding himself. If it was not for his divine soul's eye, he would not have noticed the old man's abnormality. At the same time, Li Lingtian felt a tinge of fear toward the old man. He could sense that the old man was not a simple person and should not be provoked so easily. In fact, his initial decision to kill the old man had gradually changed. Now, however, he decided to let it go. Because it was better to avoid trouble, and at this critical moment, no trouble could happen. Pill Tribulation Lightning Essence. Could it be that when refining Tier 6 and above medicinal pills, the crystal stone that attracts Pill Tribulation? What makes you so sure that this is the Pill Tribulation Thunder Essence? The old man glared at Li Lingtian and waited for Li Lingtian's reply. If Li Lingtian were to spout nonsense, he might just kill him. Haha, didn't you say that as long as this item is recognized, it can be auctioned off at a certain price? I wonder if your words count? Li Lingtian's eyes flashed sharply as well. Even a clay man had some rustic air to it. It was always so domineering in front of him. Did it think that he was easy to bully? Instantly, his entire heart turned cold, and his aura erupted as he stared coldly at the old man. Not only did he not answer the old man's question, but he also asked the old man a question. It was obvious that he did not believe the old man. The atmosphere in the entire auction hall was extremely strange. All the martial artists felt a wave of oppression. Haha, are you doubting my promise? The old man also laughed loudly, but no one could tell that this old man was really laughing. It was a laugh of extreme anger. The two of them immediately began to fight each other. For a moment, two powerful pressures collided in the air. Li Lingtian's gaze turned even colder as he circulated his true essence, and secretly activated several heaven-defying defenses. If his opponent dared to attack him, he would be able to use his treasures to block the elder's attack. At the same time, he cast a spell. As long as the old man made a move, Heavenly Demon King and Ming Luo would arrive immediately. Hee, are you doubting my judgment? Li Lingtian stood up and unleashed his aura to the maximum. Two strange auras hovered in the air but did not collide. Both of them were wary. While speaking, Li Lingtian did not back down and asked the old man the same question. This kind of question was originally very normal, but at this moment, it became abnormal. This was because the aura and tone of the two people did not give in at all. They were fighting each other. Moreover, it was a martial emperor fighting a martial saint. No matter what, this aura was not good. Oh, you're doubting my promise. That's your fault. I doubt your words. It's only right. I can take it that you're deliberately looking for trouble, okay? The old man showed no intention of backing down when he saw Li Lingtian stand up. A martial emperor was confronting a martial saint like this. The old man felt that something was amiss. He believed that Li Lingtian was deliberately looking for trouble and that he had a powerful backer behind him. However, he was a martial saint and he had lost face in front of so many juniors. His tone sounded polite, but it was actually very sharp. Haha, laughable, extremely laughable. It's my fault for doubting your promise. It's only right that you doubt my judgment. Ridiculous. You said that this lord is deliberately looking for trouble. Where do you start from? Li Lingtian laughed out loud. He laughed maniacally and brazenly, completely ignoring the numerous powerhouses present and even the warrior sage. All of a sudden, all the powerhouses were dumbfounded. He didn't expect a martial emperor to dare to cause trouble in front of a martial saint. What kind of concept was this? Had this world gone crazy? Chapter 581. Step by Step. Humph, is there a need to say that? I'm a martial saint, so I'll keep my word. You're just a martial emperor, so your words will naturally be doubted by others. The old man's face was filled with disdain as he glared coldly at Li Lingtian. If it were any other place, he would have torn Li Lingtian apart long ago. However, this was his auction house. He could not break his own rules or he would be the butt of others' accusations in the future. The reason was simple. The strong were respected. Whatever a martial saint said was true. No one believed the truth of a martial emperor. All the warriors looked at the old man with admiration. When they looked at Li Lingtian, they were filled with disdain because a martial emperor who went against a martial saint was a fool. However, when they saw the two girls beside Li Lingtian, they revealed greedy looks. Ha 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 ha. Is a martial saint that amazing? Does no one believe my words? Then I want to see if more people believe what I say or what you say. Do you dare to bet? Li Lingtian laughed out loud. The two girls beside him were smiling as well. They did not feel threatened at all. Instead, they found it amusing. This situation puzzled all the martial artists. However, everyone's faces were filled with curiosity after Li Lingtian said that. He did not know what this martial monarch powerhouse was thinking. He actually wanted to compete with a martial saint powerhouse in terms of popularity. This was simply courting death. Ignorant. I'm a martial saint. Why would one bet with a martial emperor like you? Do you think you are qualified? What right do you have to gamble with me? What treasure can you take out to gamble with me? The old man's disdain intensified. Li Lingtian's words were an insult to a martial saint like him. However, at this moment, he had to pretend to be high and mighty to show off the prestige of a martial saint. I will use a pill to bet on the pill Tribulation Lightning Essence in your hand. Do you think this peerless grade great cyclic pellet can be used to bet on the pill Tribulation Thunder Essence in your hand? Li Lingtian did not say anything. He reached out with one hand and opened the divine dragon ring. A jade bottle came out. The jade bottle was placed in his hand. He used his divine sense to open the lid of the jade bottle. A medicinal pill appeared in the air, emitting a faint medicinal fragrance. However, there were countless patterns on the surface of the medicinal pill, and there were also many array formations sealed on it. At a glance, it was obvious that it was a magical and precious medicinal pill. With the appearance of the medicinal pill, the aura in the air became clear. All the martial artists could not help but look at the medicinal pill. A mysterious charm attracted everyone's gaze. Instantly, all the martial artists revealed greedy expressions. You want to exchange a medicinal pill for the pill Tribulation Lightning Essence? Are you kidding me? A medicinal pill is like exchanging for the pill Tribulation Lightning Essence. What a whimsical idea. Even if it's a Tier 7 medicinal pill, it's impossible to exchange it for the pill Tribulation Lightning Essence. He must be crazy. Although they saw the magic of the medicinal pill, most people did not recognize it. Moreover, there was a seal on the medicinal pill. No one knew the magic and power of this medicinal pill at all, nor did they know the grade and name of this medicinal pill. It was obviously impossible to exchange a medicinal pill for the pill Tribulation Lightning Essence. Did this seat say to use this medicinal pill to exchange for the pill Tribulation Lightning Essence? Li Lingtian's expression was calm as he spoke indifferently with a smile on his lips. These so-called experts had followed his plan step by step. When he thought of this, he really felt sad for these experts. Didn't you say that you would use this medicinal pill to bet on the pill Tribulation Lightning Essence? Can your medicinal pill be compared to the pill Tribulation Lightning Essence? One of the warriors said. It was obvious that he was helping the old martial saint and wanted to curry favor with the martial saint. What you said earlier was right. This seat is using medicinal pills to gamble against the Pill Tribulation Thunder Essence. You are wrong at the end. Whether my medicinal pill can be compared to the Pill Tribulation Thunder Essence is not up to you to decide. Li Lingtian replied indifferently with a calm expression on his face. He did not bother to argue with the warrior because there was no need to. However, he immediately looked at the old man with a bright light in his eyes. He did not treat the old man as a martial saint at all. Tell me what your pill is. Let's see if it's worth betting with me. The old man felt that something was wrong, but he couldn't tell exactly what was wrong. Tier 7 Medicinal Pill. Tier 7 Great Recovery Pill. Grade 7 Mutated Great Rejuvenating Pill. A Level 7 Mutated Peerless Great Recovery Pill. A Peerless Great Recovery Pill that has experienced the Pill Tribulation. Li Lingtian looked at the rest of the warriors and the contemptuous smiles on their faces. When he looked at these martial artists, the corners of his mouth revealed a smile. In this world, the one who had the last laugh was the winner. As he laughed, he spoke the name of the pill very slowly. He watched as the disdainful smiles of the cultivators gradually changed. From disdainful smiles to disdain, then to surprise, and finally to terror, until finally, they became horrified, as if they had seen a ghost. The expression on the old man's face slowly changed. In the end, it turned into shock, followed by shock and excitement. A peerless great cyclic pellet, and a mutated one at that. You must be joking. A peerless great cyclic pellet is impossible in this world. Even if it's a mutated great cyclic pellet, it can't be a peerless pill. You say your medicinal pill is peerless, so is it peerless? You say it's mutated, so is it mutated? Countless warriors realized that Li Lingtian was obviously boasting. No one believed him at all because such a thing had been impossible in the divine martial continent for countless years. Even legends had never been heard of. Can we make a bet now? Li Lingtian ignored these warriors because facts speak louder than words. It was rare for him to argue with trash. A giant dragon could fight against ants. If it really is the peerless grade mutated great recovery pill you mentioned, I will use this Pill Tribulation Thunder Essence to bet with you. I also want to prove whether this Pill Tribulation Thunder Essence is real or not. I want to see if more people believe what you say or what the martial saint says. The old man felt that something was wrong. Others might not know, but he realized that the young man in front of him was leading them step by step. By the time he realized it, it was already too late. He really did not want to go back on his word in front of all the martial artists. At the same time, he had not lost this matter yet, so he could make a bet. All right then, I'll let you know where you went wrong. This Pill Tribulation Lightning Essence, what I said is true. If I say he is a Pill Tribulation Lightning Essence, then he is a Pill Tribulation Lightning Essence. What I said is the truth. And I said that this pill is a peerless grade mutated great recovery pill. It is a peerless grade mutated great recovery pill. Because this is all I need. Watch carefully, ignorant and self-righteous experts. Li Lingtian had a smile on his face. This smile was the same as the one he had at the beginning. He was observing the changes in the warrior's expressions. This smile made the old man feel afraid because this young man's schemes were too terrifying. Following his words, all the martial artists' expressions changed, and their faces became furious. How could they not be angry after being lectured by a martial emperor? However, they followed Li Lingtian's finger from behind. Li Lingtian was pointing at a badge on his chest. It was a very small badge. If one did not pay attention, one would not know what badge it was and would think it was a family badge. Many warriors did not see the badge on Li Lingtian's chest, but a few martial emperor powerhouses did. The old man also saw it clearly. Immediately, the expressions of the martial emperors and the old man changed. The martial emperor's expressions were extremely ugly. Alchemy Saint Badge? Alchemy Saint Badge. You are a Saint Alchemist? It really is a Saint Alchemist badge. It's you, Alchemy Saint. So that's how it is. Why is it a Saint Alchemist? All of a sudden, when they heard the words of the few martial monarch realm experts and the old man, they all cried out in surprise, and the expressions on their faces changed. Li Lingtian looked at the warriors with a hint of disdain on his lips. This disdain was returned to the warriors who had looked down on him. Now, He was returning the favor. So it's you, alchemy saint. I'm sorry for my rudeness. The expression on the old man's face began to change. In the end, he forced himself to calm down. There was a trace of a smile on his face. No matter how one looked at it, this smile was so fake. He laughed bitterly in his heart. Why didn't he pay attention to this youth's badge? However, he still had to go against this alchemy saint. He was a martial saint and had a high status. However, in front of an alchemy saint, he did not dare to offend him. The three great saint alchemists of the Xian continent were existences that even the great emperor would not dare to offend. He had to be polite at all times. He was a martial saint, and in front of the great emperor, he was not even a dog. Ignorant and self-righteous experts. Do you think anyone will believe what I say? Li Lingtian's eyes were cold as he swept his gaze across everyone before he spoke indifferently. At this moment, the expressions of all the martial artists kept changing. At the beginning, they were still mocking this young man. They did not expect this young man to be a saint alchemist. They had never expected such a thing to happen. This slap was too fucking loud. Moreover, he had to lower his head and endure it. What the fuck was going on? I said before that this is the pill tribulation lightning essence. It is the pill tribulation lightning essence. Tvi said before that this pill is a peerless mutated great cyclic pill. It is the peerless mutated great cyclic pill. Li Lingtian did not press the issue. Instead, his gaze fell on the pills. With a wave of his hands, he cast a series of spells. When the last spell landed, the seal on the pill completely disappeared. Immediately, the entire auction hall was in an uproar. A shocking medicinal power erupted, accompanied by waves of thunder. The pill automatically spun and flew. Moreover, it had its own spirituality. A fantastic scene appeared in the eyes of every warrior. This scene was an illusion of the warriors. Everyone had a different illusion. However, this illusion was real, making every martial artist intoxicated. Yes, seal. Li Lingtian shouted softly. With a grab of his hand, he sealed the pill with a seal. After the medicinal pills were taken back, all the martial artists woke up. The expressions on their faces were shocked, but they were also shocked and excited. Chapter 582. Anger Attacks the Heart, 1. It really is a peerless grade mutated great recovery pill. The old man looked at Li Lingtian's pills with greed in his eyes. Sir, can you keep your word? Actually, I'm not worried that you won't keep your word. Li Lingtian replied with a smile. His face was calm and composed. He spoke to a martial saint as if he was speaking to a martial emperor. After this sentence, countless martial artists were moved. What did this mean? Could it be that the pill saint meant that he was not afraid of a martial saint going back on his word? However, even if he was a pill saint, wasn't he worried that he would be silenced by a martial saint in this place? I will naturally keep my word. However, I want to know why you aren't worried that I won't keep my word? The old man was stunned as he did not know what Li Lingtian meant. The pill tribulation thunder essence in his hands was extremely precious. The other party had a peerless grade mutated great cyclic pill that was rarely seen in trillions of years. It had heaven-defying benefits for him, a martial saint. Needless to say, he had already lost. Martial saint powerhouses were powerful and heaven-defying, but comparing popularity with a saint alchemist was self-torture. If he lost, not only would he lose face, but he would also lose the pill tribulation thunder essence. Moreover, he would not even be able to obtain that precious peerless grade mutated great cyclic pellet. How could he be willing to accept this? Your Excellency. I think sometimes, curiosity is not good for certain things. You don't need me to explain, right? I welcome everyone to find trouble with me. Li Lingtian's face cracked into a smile as he looked at the old man seriously. This old fellow was really courting death. He still didn't give up at this moment. If he continued to do this, he would kill him even if he had to take the risk. However, there were some things that did not need to be said clearly. This way, he could give the other party a way out. After he finished speaking, the smile on his face grew wider and wider, and his fingers made a strange gesture intentionally or unintentionally. Haha, Alchemy Saint Master is indeed Alchemy Saint Master. In this world, who can compare to you, Alchemy Saint? I'm willing to admit defeat. This Pill Tribulation Thunder Essence is suitable for you, Alchemy Saint. Consider it a gift from me to you. Swoosh. The old man pondered for a long time. The entire auction hall was silent. No one dared to make a sound. None of them dared to look at Li Lingtian. The young man who had mocked him at the start was actually a saint alchemist and a super saint alchemist because he had refined a peerless mutated great cyclic pellet. In front of this sacred alchemist, they had made a fool of themselves and were completely treated like clowns by the other party. They actually did not know about it. After a long time, the old man laughed loudly. He then kept the Elixir Tribulation Thunder Essence in his hand into a jade box and tossed it toward Li Lingtian. After giving the Elixir Calamity Thunder Essence to Li Lingtian, the jade box quickly arrived in front of Li Lingtian. However, Li Lingtian did not reach out to take it. The jade box mysteriously disappeared before his eyes. All the warriors were stunned by the situation because they knew that Li Lingtian had already taken the jade box with a mysterious treasure. Thank you, sir. Li Lingtian laughed and sat down as well. He did not think much of it. He started chatting with the two girls beside him. Seeing this, the old man's expression froze, and so did the other martial artists. Everyone thought that Li Lingtian would return the favor by giving the elixir to the old man. However, they never expected that Li Lingtian was not like that at all. It was completely beyond common sense. Whatever others thought, he would not do it. Then, all the martial artists understood one thing. Experts had their own personalities and often did not play by the rules. It was even more so for this saint alchemist. If he did what they wanted, he would not be a saint alchemist. Thank you, Alchemy Saint. Please continue. I'm missing an item. Please forgive me. The old man was furious in his heart, but he couldn't say it out loud. He originally wanted to throw out a brick to attract jade. Moreover, he wouldn't offend a sacred alchemist, so he could also obtain a medicinal pill. At the same time, he also returned a favor to the alchemy saint. Logically speaking, since he had given away such a precious treasure, the other party should return the favor and give him the pill. However, the other party did not have such intentions at all. At this moment, he also understood that this sacred pill master was not to be provoked. He could only thank them and then speak to the other martial artists. This treasure was given to me by you, so I naturally won't let you suffer a loss. At that moment, Li Lingtian spoke. When Li Lingtian said that, all the warriors were shocked. They thought that Li Lingtian was about to give the elixir to the old man. The old man also thought so, and an excited smile appeared on his face. Thank you, Alchemy Saint. The old man was thrilled to hear Li Lingtian's words. He would be able to break through to the first heaven if he could obtain the peerless grade mutated great rejuvenating pill. In his heart, he was secretly despising Li Lingtian. After playing tricks, he still gave away the pills. His face was seen through. However, Li Lingtian's next sentence left everyone dumbstruck. Even the elder was stunned and was on the verge of exploding. This pill is a peerless grade mutated great recovery pill. You have already lost. Give me the Pill Tribulation Lightning Essence. Originally, the Pill Tribulation Lightning Essence was used for auction, but now that it's been taken away by this seat will auction this medicinal pill. It's of the same grade as the Pill Tribulation Lightning Essence. Li Lingtian said calmly with a righteous expression on his face. As he finished speaking, he raised his hand and the jade bottle flew out of his hand towards Dugajan. Everyone knew that the jade bottle contained a peerless mutated great rejuvenating pill. However, it was not for the old man but for Li Lingtian. Helping Li Lingtian in the auction for nothing, and the auction house had to owe Li Lingtian a favor. Was this not infuriating? At this moment, the old man spat out a mouthful of blood. He turned around and left the auction house. Before he left, he said something to Dugajan, but no one heard him. Seeing this situation, all the martial artists were stunned. This was what it meant to be powerful. He didn't even need to make a move and he was already able to injure a martial saint. What the fuck was going on? They looked at Li Lingtian in fear. They dared not provoke this young man. Even if they were to go against a martial saint, they could not go against this young saint alchemist who was a martial emperor. Your Excellency Alchemy Saint, what do you think the base price of the pill Tribulation Thunder Essence is? This way, we can also raise the bid. Dugu Zhan returned to the auction host's seat. At this time, his face was no longer as calm as before. However, as a martial emperor powerhouse who often hosted auctions, he quickly regained his calm. She asked Li Lingtian with a smile on her face. It was obvious that she was forcing a smile. The pill Tribulation Thunder Essence is a priceless treasure. However, this is only for alchemists of Tier 6 and above. It's useless for ordinary martial artists. The starting price should be around 1 billion. Li Lingtian replied calmly. Since the other party was only asking for the price of the elixir Tribulation Thunder Essence, he would naturally not reveal the price of the elixir. Even if the other party asked for the price of the medicinal pill, he would not say it. Alright then. The base price for this peerless grade Great Cyclic Pellet is 1 billion. Each increment is 100 million. Dugu Zhan waited for Li Lingtian to finish speaking before he announced the base price and the bid. Although he appeared calm on the surface, a glint of surprise flashed across his eyes. It was obvious that he was shocked by this price, but the other party wanted a base price of 1 billion, so he had no choice. This was because if the pill could not be auctioned off, the other party could only take it back and pay the auction house some handling fees. After saying the price, all the martial artists in the auction house had greedy looks in their eyes, but there was also a look of fear. Although the medicinal pill was very good, so many things had happened because of this medicinal pill just now. It even involved a martial saint powerhouse. They all felt a trace of fear. However, this medicinal pill was truly rare in trillions of years. If he missed it, he would regret it for the rest of his life. Dugu Zhan saw that the martial artists below did not dare to compete, and his face revealed a satisfied expression. After waiting for a long time, no one increased the bid. Your Excellency Alchemy Saint, it seems that this medicinal pill is going to be unsold. I bid 1 billion spirit stones. Do you want to raise the price again? Dugu Zhan's face revealed a smile. This was because he had obtained this pill so easily. If others didn't raise the price, even if he was the host of the auction, he could still raise the price. However, he couldn't raise the price maliciously. If he raised the price maliciously, he would be asking for a favor. Then I'll pay 2 billion low-grade spirit stones. Just as the warriors in the auction house were feeling sorry for Li Lingtian, Shenyuan Yingying, who was standing beside Li Lingtian, raised the bid to 2 billion. Li Lingtian was the one who secretly instructed them to do so. He didn't lack spirit stones, but he couldn't give up a peerless grade Great Cyclic Pellet so easily. Miss is with His Excellency Alchemy Saint. Could it be that she can also compete? Dugu Zhan had never expected that the person beside Li Lingtian would bid and compete with him. Was this not intentional? Hee, since you are the auctioneer, you are also bidding for it. This pill is a peerless grade mutated great rejuvenating pill. Apart from my big brother Lingtian, no one else in the divine martial continent can refine it. Naturally, I want to obtain this pill. Shenyuan Yingying usually didn't communicate with outsiders. However, when she spoke, she carried the aura of a superior and had a charm that made people dare not look at her directly. Alright, I'll pay 3 billion low-grade spirit stones. Dugu Zhan's expression froze. The other party's words were completely reasonable, and he had no way to refute them. At the same time, he felt a wave of shock in his heart. He actually did not dare to look at such a little girl directly. It was as if he had encountered a heaven-defying mighty figure. For this medicinal pill, he had to go all out. His master had instructed him to obtain this peerless grade mutated great recovery pill no matter the price. Chapter 583. Auction of the Great Cyclic Pellet. 4 billion low-grade spirit stones. Shenyuan Yingying's small face was calm. She did not treat the spiritual stones as spiritual stones at all. It was as if they were stones on the roadside. After raising the price, she ignored Dugu Zhan and spoke to Li Lingtian while Qingping chimed in. 5 billion low-grade spirit stones. Dugu Zhan's expression changed as a bitter smile appeared on his face. It was obvious that the other party would not let it go so easily, so he did not pay attention for a moment. If he wanted to get the medicinal pill, he could only raise the price. If he did not raise the price, the medicinal pill would be taken back by the other party. I don't want to play anymore. 10 billion. Final price. Xuenyuan Yingying revealed a lazy expression, like a lazy cat that had just woken up. However, her price stunned all the martial artists in the auction hall. 10 billion. 10 billion. Top-grade mutated great cyclic pellet. 10 billion. 10 billion. This is too terrifying. There was a brief silence in the auction house. Soon after, all the martial artists exclaimed. One medicinal pill actually reached 10 billion. What kind of concept was this? No matter how miraculous a peerless pill was, it should not have increased the price to 10 billion. This was 10 billion, not low-grade spirit stones. Dugu Zhan's expression twisted. Although the other party said that he would not increase the bid, it was 10 billion. He could not make a decision. 1 billion. After a moment, it was time to hit the gavel. He could only add 100 million, or he would make a mistake. As the host of an auction house, he naturally understood this point. The host could compete, but he could not compete maliciously. Similarly, he could not delay time. After 10 billion, adding 100 million didn't feel anything at all. However, all the martial artists were still surprised. After all, Dugu Zhan was planning to use 1 billion to compete for this medicinal pill. In other words, this medicinal pill was worth 1 billion. Xuenyuan Yingying and the rest did not raise the bid. The price of 1 billion was beyond Li Lingtian's expectations. Initially, Li Lingtian had asked Xuenyuan Yingying to raise the bid to 5 billion as this pill was already heaven-defying. However, Xuenyuan Yingying felt that it was fun, so she bid 10 billion. In any case, if the other party did not raise the price after shouting 10 billion, they would be the owners of the pill. Even if the pill was worth 10 billion, this price would still belong to them. The auction house would only get 1/10 of the processing fee. They would just have to pay another 1 billion yuan after collecting the pills. The fourth item had actually caused so much trouble. This time, all the martial artists were surprised. It was originally a good auction, but they did not expect such a thing to actually happen. The pill Tribulation Thunder Essence and the peerless grade Great Cyclic Pellet had appeared, provoking a martial saint and a super pill saint. It was even auctioned at a shocking price. This was something that no one had expected. When the fourth item came to an end, Li Lingtian took out the peerless grade mutated Great Rejuvenating Pill, but he received 9 billion 10 million spiritual stones. Furthermore, he had won the pill Tribulation Thunder Essence. In other words, he had lost a piece of pill Tribulation Thunder Essence and 9 billion spirit stones. This wealth was almost the income of the auction house for decades. Not only did he lose his wealth, but he also lost his face. All the martial artists understood the reason for all of this. That was that the martial artists were blind and provoked a saint alchemist who was pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. This also gave them a bloody lesson. They didn't dare to easily deal with any low-level martial artist. Perhaps a low-level martial artist was a hidden expert or a super background figure. The fifth item, start now. The fifth item is a low-grade saint artifact. Dugu Zhan was no longer in the mood to host the auction. However, when the other warriors heard that the fifth item was a saint artifact, they all became excited. He concealed the negative emotions he had just brought and placed all his emotions on the holy artifact. What was a saint artifact? Saint weapons were heaven-defying treasures. Even low-grade saint weapons could ignore peerless heaven weapons. Between experts of the same cultivation level, one used a peerless heaven artifact while the other used a low-grade saint artifact. The person who used the low-grade saint artifact would definitely kill the person who used the heaven artifact. A saint artifact that could only be found by chance and not sought after had actually appeared in the auction house. How could this not shock and delight people? Instantly, all the martial venerables and martial emperors were extremely excited. The martial emperors could only watch the show. Low-grade saint weapon. Heavenly Thunder Mirror. I don't need to say much about its power. The base price is 1 billion, and each increment is 100 million. Dugu Zhan took out a light purple mirror. On the surface of the mirror, there were traces of thunder. A shocking pressure burst out, causing countless martial emperors to hurriedly use their cultivation techniques to resist the shocking pressure. Fortunately, the treasure's own pressure was powerful, but no one was controlling it. Otherwise, a martial royal realm expert would be crushed to death in front of this pressure. Seeing such a heaven-defying treasure, the competition was extremely intense. In the end, this treasure was obtained by an 8th-level martial emperor at 8 billion. Although the price was not as high as the recover pill, the competition was fierce. After all, these powerhouses were not like Li Lingtian or the martial saint powerhouses behind Dugujan. After the 5th item was auctioned, it was time for free trading. After Dugujan made his announcement, he left the auction hall. The other martial artists also entered another hall. The interior of the hall was well decorated, and it was specially for martial artists to freely trade. Some martial emperors and martial supremacies came for free trade. At the trading place, Shenyuan Yingying and Qingping were extremely excited. This place was like a wet market, completely different from a market for martial artists. Yingying, Qingping, buy whatever you see that's pretty or you like. Also, bring some gifts back for your sister and the others. Li Lingtian glanced at the two girls beside him and smiled. Shenyuan Yingying held Li Lingtian's arm naturally while Qingping held his hand shyly. She lowered her head and did not dare to look at Li Lingtian. Yes, then I'll buy it along the way. Anyway, I earned that 9 billion. Qingping nodded, but Shenyuan Yingying was extremely happy. She was naturally very happy to buy things. Besides, she already thought that she had earned those spirit stones. Then, the three of them strolled around the trading center and bought some strange items. They didn't know what they were used for, but they just thought they looked good. Countless warriors saw Li Lingtian and the other two and could tell that the two girls were here to buy something. They all introduced their items to Shenyuan Yingying and Qingping, and they all took out some strange or beautiful items. After walking for an hour, the three of them walked around. Although he bought a lot of things, he didn't use many spirit stones. In total, he only used 200 million spirit stones. However, Li Lingtian spent 2 billion spiritual stones to purchase some precious herbs and materials. After strolling around enough, the three of them returned to the auction house first and sat down in their seats to talk. Big brother Lingtian, do you think that pill tribulation lightning essence is really that useful? Shenyuan Yingying had been with Li Lingtian for a long time. Naturally, she understood Li Lingtian's intentions. He was scheming against the pill tribulation thunder essence in every possible way. Naturally, it was heaven-defying. With Li Lingtian's identity and wealth, there was no need for such a thing. He would only scheme in such a manner if he really needed it. This also meant that the elixir tribulation thunder essence was very precious. It was so precious that even Li Lingtian had his eyes on it. Yes, to other warriors, this pill tribulation thunder essence is useless. However, for alchemists above tier 6, it's indeed a heaven-defying treasure. It has a 10% chance of attracting a pill tribulation. In this case, there's also a 10% chance of causing the pill to mutate. A mutated medicinal pill is completely different from a medicinal pill of the same rank. Even a tier 6 mutated medicinal pill is more powerful and magical than a tier 7 ordinary medicinal pill. Li Lingtian did not have any qualms. Since he had already offended someone, there was no need to hide it. He also understood that he had offended that martial saint this time. Moreover, it was a deep hatred. It would be very difficult to resolve it. So it's that good. I didn't expect that even though so many people don't know, young master would know. Qingping was shocked when she heard Li Lingtian mention the power of the elixir tribulation thunder essence. After some time, he understood the power of a mutated pill. Only the warrior who used the pill would know how powerful the pill refined by a heaven-defying divine alchemist like Li Lingtian with a pill tribulation thunder essence was. I can refine more mutated supreme-grade medicinal pills in the future. Li Lingtian chuckled. He was not the least bit worried that the old man would plot against him. If it was in the open, he wouldn't be worried at all. However, in this world, in front of true strength, all schemes and plots were like paper. They could be broken with a single poke. However, Li Lingtian had already sent a mysterious voice transmission at that moment. He instructed Martial Saint Ming Luo and the Heavenly Demon King to wait at the nearest peak so that they could be prepared for any unforeseen circumstances. With his current cultivation, it would definitely be disadvantageous if he was targeted by a martial saint. If he was at the third heaven of the martial emperor realm, he would not be afraid of a first heaven of the martial saint realm. As time passed, some martial artists had already begun to return. Most of the martial artists had ugly expressions on their faces, but some martial artists had happy expressions on their faces. This was because to come to this place, not only did one need to pay an entrance fee, but one also needed to be introduced by an acquaintance. He came here once for free trade. He wanted to get what he wanted at a free trade place. If he got it, he wouldn't have come in vain. If he didn't get it, he would definitely be disappointed. An hour later, all the martial artists had returned. At this moment, Dugujan also came out. His expression was calm, and there wasn't the slightest change. However, Li Lingtian noticed that Dugujan was glancing at him intentionally or unintentionally when he came out. Li Lingtian could feel it even without using his eyes. Even though his cultivation had fallen, his divine sense was now even stronger. Even the second or third sky of the martial saint realm might not be able to compare to the consciousness of a martial royal realm expert. This was also because the soul was powerful. After Dugujan came out, the entire auction hall quieted down. Because there were still 5 more items to be auctioned, the later the items were, the more precious they were. Although most martial artists couldn't afford them, they still wanted to see them. Chapter 584. 100 billion. The pill formula for the 6th item to be auctioned. This pill formula is a grade 7 dark cloud pill. The base price is 1 billion, and each increment is 100 million. Dugujan took out a jade slip and spoke unhurriedly. Although all the cultivators were surprised, they were not moved at all. After all, a pill formula was still a pill formula. Only super saint alchemists could use it. Even if they had spirit stones, they would not buy a jade slip pill formula. All the warriors turned to look at Li Lingtian because he was the only holy alchemist here. However, Li Lingtian did not seem to mind at all. Instead, he was talking to the 2 girls. Li Lingtian did not say anything, and the pill formula naturally went unsold. Next was the 7th item. The 7th item was a middle-grade saint artifact. The price of a saint intermediate tier artifact was more than double that of a saint inferior tier artifact. It had actually reached 20 billion. The 8th item was also a saint intermediate tier artifact. However, this saint intermediate tier artifact did not have any attributes. Such a treasure was naturally countless times more powerful than a single attribute treasure, and there were many more experts competing for it. However, Li Lingtian was not tempted at all. The 9th item is a precious material. I believe everyone knows about the spirit-chilling ice. Dugujan's expression also became horrified. When he heard about the spirit-cold ice, he felt as if he had been struck by the spirit-cold ice. At the same time, countless warriors in the auction house also revealed terrified expressions. Spirit-cold ice? Isn't that one of the most mysterious ice in the world? That's right. Even a martial saint would die if he touched this spirit-freezing ice. There really is such terrifying ice. Most of the martial artists knew how terrifying the spiritual chilling ice was, but no one had ever seen it before. Not to mention them, even in the divine martial continent, no one had ever seen this before. After all, this was the legendary ice. This ice wasn't a weapon treasure, but it was even more powerful and terrifying than a weapon treasure. Li Lingtian had experienced it himself. He had the ice soul martial soul and the flaming sacred body. Having seen countless ice and flames, he naturally knew how terrifying the spirit-freezing ice was. Otherwise, the 9 heavens of ice and fire wouldn't be so freakish and terrifying. It's the spirit-chilling ice. This spiritual frost ice came from the distant frozen snow region. The martial saint who obtained this spiritual frost ice was also harmed by it. Although the spiritual frost ice is terrifying, once it is refined, its power will be enough to make even a martial saint feel fear. The base price of the spirit-chilling ice is 2 billion. Each increment is 2 million. Dugujan spoke slowly, and finally told him the base price and the bid. Immediately, the experts who were competing for the first place increased their bids fiercely. The intensity of the bidding was even more intense than the bidding for Saint intermediate tier artifacts. 2. 1 billion. 2 billion. 3 billion. In less than a moment, the price had already reached 30 billion. This price had already reached the limit of a martial emperor powerhouse. The people who competed went from the original supreme martial emperor to the martial emperor. In the end, they became super powerhouses at the 8th or 9th level of the martial emperor realm. After reaching 30 billion, countless martial emperor powerhouses could only let go because not many people could afford 30 billion. Moreover, there were not many powerhouses who cultivated ice-type martial souls. At the very least, fire element experts would not compete for ice element treasures. In the end, there were only 7 9th level martial emperors and 3 8th level martial emperors competing for the spirit freezing ice. 10 super martial emperors were competing for one piece of spirit freezing ice. Li Lingtian looked at the jade box in front of Dugujan and felt a trace of cold air. This trace of cold air was also a part of the seal that had been left out. Just this trace of spiritual coldness alone was enough to terrify countless martial emperors and martial supremes. Li Lingtian was excited when he saw the spirit-chilling ice. However, no one was aware of Li Lingtian's excitement because a saint alchemist like Li Lingtian would have both wood and fire elements even if he had 2 martial souls. That was the only way he could become a saint alchemist master. 60 billion low-grade spirit stones. Li Lingtian looked at the situation and did not want to wait any longer. He immediately called out a bid of 60 billion. When this 60 billion was shouted out, it immediately stunned all the martial artists. After all, it had doubled in an instant, and it was the bid of a sacred alchemist. However, for the sake of the spirit-chilling ice, the other 3 level 8 and 4 level 9 martial emperors had given up. However, there were still 3 level 9 martial emperors who were still competing for it. After all, this was the spirit freezing ice. Controlling the spirit freezing ice would allow one's strength to soar. 60. 1 billion. 60. 2 billion. 60. 3 billion. 100 billion. Since the 3 9th level martial emperors did not give up, Li Lingtian did not waste any time and immediately raised the bid to 100 billion. This 100 billion was already an astronomical figure. What was 100 billion? It was just like how the super-rich in his previous life had to spend all their assets in front of 100 billion. It was the same for these martial emperor experts. Although there were super families or commanderies behind them, 100 billion was enough to knock them out. To Li Lingtian, 100 billion was insignificant. 100 billion. 100 billion. 100 billion. Your Excellency Alchemy Saint is indeed domineering. Only a saint alchemist can have such a method. Who else can be stronger than you, Alchemy Saint? Shock, shock and shock. All the martial artists in the auction hall stood up. 100 billion was something that even martial emperors and martial supremes had never seen before. This number was definitely the strongest he had ever seen in his life. The 3 9th level martial monarch realm powerhouses were numb. They couldn't afford 100 billion at all. Even if they sold their backers, they wouldn't have 100 billion. They shook their heads speechlessly when they saw Li Lingtian's relaxed expression. The spirit-chilling ice was heaven-defying, but the price was too heaven-defying. 100 billion spirit stones. Anyone else? 100 billion low-grade spirit stones going once. 100 billion low-grade spirit stones going twice. 100 billion low-grade spirit stones going thrice. Congratulations to number 320 for obtaining the spiritual ice. Dugujan looked at the shocked faces of all the martial artists and then looked at the 3 martial monarch realm experts. He knew that no one would raise the price anymore. After a while, he asked the other martial artists. The final 3 times, the hammer struck down. The final winner of this spirit-chilling ice was an alchemy saint. However, all the warriors were curious. They didn't know what use this spirit-cold ice had. Could it be used for alchemy? Dugujan instructed a servant to bring a jade box on a brocade tray to Li Lingtian and the other 2. Sir, this is the spirit-chilling ice that you auctioned off. Please take a look and accept it. The maid presented the jade box to Li Lingtian and bowed. Li Lingtian did not say anything either. He closed his eyes slightly and moved his divine perception slightly. He slowly approached the jade box of the spirit freezing ice with his divine perception and began to sense the spirit freezing ice. Gradually, Li Lingtian's expression changed. After a full 5 minutes, Li Lingtian opened his eyes with a satisfied look on his face. All the warriors were staring at Li Lingtian without any impatience. They were waiting for Li Lingtian to examine the spirit-chilling ice. One had to know that this spirit-freezing ice was bought by someone else for 100 billion. Naturally, he had to know if it was true or not. That's right, it's spirit-cold ice. It's spirit-cold ice that's over 1,000,000 years old. Li Lingtian nodded. With a tap of his hand, he cast a series of magic arts. Instantly, countless seals appeared and sealed the jade box. He stretched out his hand, and the space fluctuated slightly. The jade box disappeared. Finally, Li Lingtian took out a storage pouch and quickly counted the 100 billion lower spiritual stones before handing the storage pouch to the maid. The maid was also a martial king, and her divine sense was not weak either. She quickly counted the items in the storage bag. After 2 minutes, she finally nodded respectfully. 100 billion low-grade spirit stones. Not bad. Thank you, Pill Saint. The maidservant held the storage pouch and spoke. Her voice was neither loud nor soft, but all the warriors could hear her clearly. This way, both sides felt at ease. Even ghosts would be afraid to receive the money personally. Therefore, when the spirit stones were traded, the quantity had to be counted well. Otherwise, it would be difficult to say if there was a small amount. Li Lingtian was extremely satisfied with the 100 billion yuan he spent on the spirit-chilling ice. However, he was overjoyed because this spirit-freezing ice was over 1,000,000 years old and was considered the best in the ice domain. Even in the legendary icebound snow region, this spirit-freezing ice was probably the best. Moreover, others didn't know that this spirit-freezing ice wasn't limited to this. This spirit-freezing ice was Ling Han's ice heart. Now, let's begin the auction for the 10th item. The 10th item is a Supreme Saint weapon. Supreme Saint weapon Butterfly Shadow. After Dugu Zhan put away the spirit stones, he began to auction the 10th item. The 10th item was a peerless saint artifact, the Butterfly Shadow. It was a treasure used by girls. The Butterfly Shadow came and went without a trace, killing people within 100 miles without a trace. Dugu Zhan explained the Butterfly Shadow's power to Li Lingtian, and he was extremely satisfied. He already had the 9 heavens 10 earths divine needles. This 9 heavens 10 earths divine needles had also just been controlled by his wife. It was an existence that was like a divine artifact. Similarly, killing people within 100 miles was invisible, and breaking through a martial artist's defense was even more invincible. He had already given this set of 9 heavens 10 earths divine needles to his wife. In his opinion, it was better for girls to use these treasures. As a man, he disdained using such small treasures. Big brother Lingtian, I saw that big sister Mei has the 9 heavens 10 earthly divine needles. This set of treasures is perfect for big sister Yu Yan. Why don't you buy it for big sister Yu Yan? Shenyuan Yingying whispered softly into Li Lingtian's ear. Her breath was like orchids, tickling Li Lingtian. Not bad, this is a good idea. Yu Yan just happens to have the metal element, so this treasure is the best. Upon hearing Shenyuan Yingying's words, Li Lingtian was reminded of Huangfu Yuyan. This treasure was also a metal-type treasure that could be used to attack and kill. It was perfect for Huangfu Yuyan. Anyway, he didn't lack spirit stones. Even if he didn't have spirit stones, he had to find a way to get this butterfly shadow. Chapter 585. Supreme Saint Weapon Butterfly Shadow. Then I'll compete then. Alright, Qingping, let's see who can compete for it. If you lose, you have to promise the other party one thing. Shenyuan Yingying looked at Qingping, who was standing on Li Lingtian's other side, and spoke in a coquettish voice. Li Lingtian was speechless. So this little girl still wanted to play. On the surface, she said that she was helping Yu Yan buy treasures, but she wanted to satisfy herself first. She was really speechless at this girl. Butterfly shadow is a kind of hidden weapon. It is a treasure that can break the defense of experts and assassinate them. The starting price is 10 billion, and each increase is 1 billion. After Dugu Zhan showed the butterfly shadow, everyone saw it. This butterfly shadow was no different from a girl's jewelry. There were 36 butterflies, and the butterflies were lifelike and exquisite. However, it emitted a magical aura that gave people a feeling of death. The 36 butterflies were all connected. It was obvious that they were a set of treasures. Countless martial artists were extremely excited, but even more were disappointed. Although the treasure was good, this treasure was too much. In this auction house, 90% of the martial artists could not even take out the base price, let alone increase the bid to compete. 11 billion low-grade spirit stones. Shenyuan Yingying was the first to speak. Since the two of them had made a bet, she naturally had to speak first. However, after she opened her mouth, many people who wanted to join in the fun did not dare to open their mouths, lest they provoke the sacred alchemy master. 12 billion. However, there were still super experts who came to compete. The people who competed were the few super martial sovereigns who had failed in the competition for the spiritual chilling ice. However, there was hope for them to compete for this peerless saint weapon, the butterfly shadow. Since Li Lingtian had already offered 100 billion, no matter how wealthy he was, he could not possibly compete for this peerless sacred artifact. 13 billion. Unexpectedly, Qingping did not back down after the martial emperor raised the bid. She directly raised the bid. For a moment, the atmosphere in the auction hall was strange. The two girls were competing, but there was no disharmony at all. Immediately, all the martial artists knew that the two girls were having fun. 14 billion. 15 billion. 16 billion. The price soared rapidly. Shenyuan Yingying and Qingping also had a pattern. When the other experts competed for a round, the two of them increased the price one after another. With the other experts joining in, there were only 8 people competing in the auction house. Li Lingtian's side occupied 2 people. The atmosphere was strangely stifling. The competition between the 8 of them was like a huge battlefield. Moreover, the 2 girls had the upper hand in this battlefield. In front of them, spirit stones were no longer spirit stones. They were just numbers. Indeed, Li Lingtian's spiritual stones were a figure. With 4 trillion spiritual stones, there was no need to worry about such a small amount of competition. 93 billion. In the end, the price stopped at 93 billion. This voice was extremely pleasant to the ears. Naturally, Shenyuan Yingying was the one who shouted. When the bid reached 93 billion, no one else made a sound. As time passed, Shenyuan Yingying's small face revealed a proud expression. She pouted at Qingping as if she was declaring victory. Qingping, you have to promise me one thing. Shenyuan Yingying said happily, looking very proud. However, when the other martial artists heard her words, they almost spat out blood. The 2 little girls made a bet and actually opened the battlefield to the auction house. They used the spirit stones of the Saint Alchemist to suppress all the competitors. What kind of world was this? How could 2 girls not count spirit stones? 93 billion spirit stones. Going once. Anyone else? 93 billion going twice. 93 billion going thrice. Congratulations to number 320 for obtaining the Peerless Saint artifact, Shadow Butterfly. Dugu Zhan's expression changed as well. Li Lingtian had already taken out nearly 200 billion spiritual stones. This amount of wealth was truly terrifying. The last item landed in Li Lingtian's hands. The maid then brought Butterfly Shadow to Li Lingtian. Li Lingtian inspected it once to confirm that the treasure's level and power were genuine. He then handed the 93 billion lower spiritual stones to the maid. Today's auction could be considered to have ended successfully. Although there were unforeseen circumstances along the way, it did not affect the mood of these martial artists. Moreover, they had seen a saint alchemist and a martial saint, as well as a peerless grade mutated great cyclic pill. There was also a shocking price. Today's auction ends here. Welcome back next time. After Dugu Zhan kept the spirit stones, he also announced the end of today's auction. All the warriors began to leave the auction house. Li Lingtian left with Qingping and Shenyuan Yingying. However, when he left, he had his divine sense cover the surroundings. As long as there was any threat, he would react. After all, his current cultivation was only at the 5th level of the Martial Emperor realm. If his cultivation had recovered to the 3rd sky of the Martial Emperor realm, he would not have to fear a 1st sky of the Martial Saint realm. However, tonight's harvest was not bad. After all, he had obtained the Pill Tribulation Thunder Essence, the Spirit Cold Ice, and a Peerless Saint weapon. Although he had spent a lot of spirit stones, it was worth it. After a short while, Li Lingtian left the auction house with Shenyuan Yingying and her daughter. The Heavenly Monster King and Martial Saint Ming Luo came to Li Lingtian's side immediately and protected him from the front and back. The two of them had concealed their cultivation, so no one knew their true cultivation. They only thought that they were powerhouses at the 3rd or 4th heaven of the Martial Emperor realm. A 3rd or 4th heaven Martial Monarch realm expert was considered a pretty good powerhouse in this place. However, it was nothing compared to a powerhouse above the 4th heaven. Yingying, I heard that the unmatched sea is not bad. It's filled with stars at night. You can enjoy the peaceful beauty of the starry sky. Do you want to go and take a look? After Li Lingtian left the auction house, he did not intend to head back immediately. Instead, he asked Shenyuan Yingying if she wanted to go stargazing. This left some powerhouses speechless. Of course, it's great to follow big brother Lingtian to look at the stars. Shenyuan Yingying was taken aback. She immediately understood what Li Lingtian was trying to do and quickly cooperated. However, it was not a bad idea to watch the stars alone with Li Lingtian. Although Qingping and the Heavenly Demon King were around, it didn't affect her being with brother Lingtian. Alright, let's go to the unmatched sea to admire the starry sky. It's been a long time since we've done this. The night sky of the Peerless Sea is the most tranquil, and the starry sky is also the most beautiful. After Li Lingtian finished speaking, he pulled Shenyuan Yingying and Qingping along. Their bodies flashed and they flew in the air. They were like a perfect couple. The Heavenly Monster King and Martial Saint Ming Luo were less than 100 meters apart on both sides. This way, they could protect Li Lingtian and the other two at the first opportunity and not interrupt their romantic moment. Not long after the three of them flew, bursts of explosions came from behind them. Needless to say, there were experts fighting. In such an underground auction, even if one obtained a treasure, it would be very dangerous. After all, such an auction house was not in the city. There were no restrictions and it would not be subject to the rules of the city. Furthermore, there was more than one battle behind him. Li Lingtian was no longer in the mood to care about these battles. Right now, he was completely admiring the night sky. With a beautiful girl accompanying him, he was in a great mood. He did not need to pay attention to the situation around him at all. With two martial saints protecting him, he naturally did not need to worry. The unmatched sea was an entrance to the sea area thousands of miles away from Nandu County City. It was also the edge of the sea area. The scenery was wonderful. Countless geniuses and geniuses liked to go there to enjoy the scenery and recite poems. However, the sea breeze was strong at night. No one would go to that place to enjoy the scenery. However, for Li Lingtian, the place was a good environment. Since he wanted to die, he would die on the side so as not to affect others. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The night breeze was slightly chilly, but the two girls' cultivation was not bad. Even if Yingying's cultivation had not broken through, she was still equivalent to a martial arts grandmaster. It was nothing to resist the cool night wind. However, the two girls were snuggling up to Li Lingtian. This was Qingping's happiest moment. In the past, she had always fantasized about following Li Lingtian. It would be worth it to be a maidservant by his side forever. She never expected that Li Lingtian would accept her one day. She did not expect Li Lingtian to pull her along and give her a chance. She also understood that these young misses were deliberately giving her a chance. She was extremely grateful to Huangfu Yuyan and the others. If the young ladies did not agree, she would be alone for the rest of her life because she would not be separated from the young ladies. This was loyalty. Now that young master could let her stay by his side, even if he didn't accept her, he would be satisfied. A distance of 1,000 miles was only half an hour for a warrior to fly. Qingping had always wanted to fly like this, but she realized that the distance of 1,000 miles was very short. Looking at the boundless sea and the roaring waves, the three of them were extremely excited. There was also the dazzling starry sky, which was filled with twinkling stars. What a beautiful starry sky! Shenyuan Yingying and Qingping were extremely happy. Even though they knew that there were more experts coming, it couldn't affect their mood because there were two super experts by their side. Following that, Shenyuan Yingying hooked her arm around Li Lingtian's arm and Qingping tried to do the same. They were overjoyed when they realized that Li Lingtian did not object. The two beauties held each other's arms and looked at the stars in the starry sky. Their moods were extremely good. After some time, a faint smile appeared on Li Lingtian's face. Swoosh, swoosh. Swoosh, swoosh. The sound of air being torn apart rang out as more than 10 figures flashed over in the pitch-black night sky. The old man who was the leader of the auction house, Dugujan, and the rest were all martial emperor powerhouses. There were a total of 13 martial emperor powerhouses and 1 martial saint powerhouse. It was indeed a waste of talent to use such a lineup to deal with a martial emperor saint alchemist. However, the old man was unwilling to underestimate Li Lingtian. After all, Li Lingtian was a holy alchemist, so he must have some experts by his side. They had decided to bring out their strongest lineup to kill Li Lingtian and obtain his elixirs and wealth, as well as the 2 beautiful girls by his side. Chapter 586. The Domineering Heavenly Demon King. Big brother Lingtian, Yingying is so scared. Shenyuan Yingying's little face revealed a trace of fear as she looked at the dozen or so powerhouses. She snuggled up to Li Lingtian. Qingping was just like Shenyuan Yingying, looking extremely pitiful. However, Li Lingtian was amused. It would be a waste if he did not become a best actress with his acting talent. The 2 girls knew that there were 2 supreme martial saint powerhouses by their side, yet they had to cooperate with Li Lingtian to put on such a realistic act. Just thinking about it made them laugh. Don't be afraid. With big brother Lingtian here, they won't dare to do anything to you. Li Lingtian gently patted Shenyuan Yingying's back as if he was comforting her. However, his eyes did not look at the old man, Dugujan, and the others. This was indeed a strange sight. Heavenly Monster King and Martial Saint Ming Luo had strange expressions on their faces. It was as if they were holding back something. Young master, Qingping is also very afraid. Qingping mustered her courage and said. She wanted Li Lingtian to comfort her in this way, but she regretted it after saying it. She had gone too far. If he angered young master, he would never be able to get young master's love in the future. Okay, don't be afraid. Be good. Naturally, Li Lingtian understood Qingping's intention, but he did not say it out loud. For a beautiful girl, he naturally had the responsibility to take care of her. How could he let go of such a good thing? As he spoke, he also patted Qingping's back. However, when his palm landed, it was indeed like caressing, causing Qingping to almost moan. Alchemy Saint, hand over your wealth and pills, and I can give you a quick death. Since I have already provoked you, naturally there will be hatred. I have no choice but to help you take care of the 2 little girls beside you. The old man looked at the 2 girls beside Li Lingtian and did not feel anything amiss. When they arrived at the place, they had already scanned the surrounding area. There were no powerhouses around except for the 2 guards by Li Lingtian's side who were martial emperor powerhouses. However, they were of no use. It was normal for a saint alchemist to have 2 martial emperors by his side because no one would provoke a saint alchemist. At this moment, the old man no longer needed to hide anything. Instead, he directly revealed his purpose. Hee, you really came. Aren't you worried that I'll find trouble with you in the future? Li Lingtian chuckled with an arrogant look on his face as he glared at the old man. This caused the old man to be startled. He then understood that the other party was obviously pretending to be calm. Could it be that you want to leave tonight, Alchemy Saint? As long as you die, no one will know that I did it. Even if they do, it won't be a big deal, the old man said with a smile. His eyes were filled with disdain. In the auction house, he had to be careful. However, in this place, it was dark and windy. There was no need to worry about anything. You don't regret it? Do you think that there are no experts around me?
Li Lingtian looked at the elderly man and the others and asked with certainty.
Even so, there wasn't a hint of panic on her face.
Regret.
Experts? Just the two of them? The disdain on the old man's face became even stronger. He glanced at Demon King Tian and Martial Saint Ming Luo again. They were still third or fourth heaven martial emperors. Yingying, are you still afraid? Qingping, what about you? Li Lingtian ignored the old man and asked Shenyuan Yingying who was beside him. When he saw Shenyuan Yingying nod, he turned to Qingping and asked, "It seems that if I don't teach you a lesson, you won't know whether you live or die. Originally, I didn't plan to find trouble with you. I specially came to this place to give you a chance. Do you really think that I'm going to this place after I get the treasure? Do you really want to die? If you don't know how to cherish it, you can only die." Li Lingtian said lightly with a helpless expression. Heaven's sins can be survived, but people's sins cannot be survived. After saying that, he pulled Qingping and Shenyuan Yingying and landed on the ground, walking slowly towards the back. As if they were making space for their subordinates, the old man, De Goujon, and the rest did not stop Li Lingtian. Since Li Lingtian had not escaped, they did not need to stop him. It was normal for them to kill Li Lingtian after they had killed the two guards. However, when Li Lingtian's group of 3 was 100 meters away, they stood still and did not plan to leave. At this moment, Heavenly Demon King took a step forward while Martial Saint Ming Luo took a step back. The two of them formed a corner. Hee, a bunch of ignorant trash. I haven't fought for a long time. Today, I'll play with you guys. You can mess with anyone, but you mess with people you shouldn't mess with. The Heavenly Demon King smiled darkly. A bloodthirsty smile overflowed from the corner of his mouth. He was as terrifying as a bloodthirsty Demon King. This scene made the old man and the martial emperor powerhouse behind him realize something. However, he did not know what ability this tall and big guy had to be so arrogant at this time. I won't let you die so quickly. I'll slowly torture you to death. I will make you regret being born into this world. The old man was completely furious. He had never thought that the two guards would still be so arrogant. He thought back to the humiliation he had suffered at the auction house. He would never be able to raise his head again. A martial saint was humiliated by a martial emperor in front of thousands of experts. He would never forget this humiliation. Young master, what about them? Martial Saint Ming Luo looked at Li Lingtian and the other two in the distance and asked respectfully. Even though they did not need Li Lingtian's help, these people had provoked Li Lingtian. Even if they wanted to kill these warriors, they still needed Li Lingtian's advice. If Li Lingtian wanted them to die immediately, they would kill them immediately. If they wanted to torture them, they would restrain them. I'm a little tired. I'm going back to rest. Do as you see fit. Li Lingtian looked at the dozen powerhouses impatiently and spoke indifferently as if they were interrupting their fun. This subordinate will obey. Sky Yao, let's see if you can kill them in a minute. I'll hold the fort for you. If you can't kill them in a minute, you'll lose. Martial Saint Ming Luo nodded respectfully upon hearing Li Lingtian's instructions. She then turned around and spoke to the Heavenly Monster King. The two of them did not take these so-called experts seriously at all. Instead, they began to bet. After saying that, they spread out their divine senses and enveloped the entire battlefield under their divine senses. What a minute! I'll definitely beat them up until their mothers don't even recognize them. Heavenly Demon King revealed an excited expression as he circulated his demonic powers. Immediately, a shocking demonic power pressure erupted. The world was enveloped by this destructive pressure. The pressure shook the space until it shattered inch by inch. Its aura was shocking. Martial Saint Expert. Peak of the second sky of the Martial Saint realm. The old man and all the Martial Monarch realm experts cried out in alarm. They looked extremely frightened as if they had seen a ghost. More than 10 Martial Monarch realm experts were suppressed by this pressure and could not move at all. Only the old man could move, but his cultivation had been greatly reduced, not even to 20% of what it was before. He could tell that the Heaven Demon Monarch's cultivation level had reached the peak second firmament. He was immediately shocked.
He didn't expect that one of the two people beside the Saint Alchemist was at the peak of the second sky of the Martial Saint realm. Compared to him, the peak of the second sky of the Martial Saint realm was a completely different world. Moreover, since they were two guards, their tone and cultivation realm were definitely not much different. In that case, the other one was also a super martial saint. No wonder the alchemy saint was so fearless. Die! Sky Demon Monarch emitted a violent aura. With his tall body and shocking pressure and aura, he looked like a demon. He stretched out his hand, and a massive heaven-shocking hammer appeared in his hand. He waved the high-quality saint weapon in the air and smashed it down. Boom! The space trembled and tore apart. The shocking destructive power bombarded the ground, and the space shattered inch by inch. The power of the hammer destroyed more than 10 martial emperor powerhouses. Even a 9th-level martial monarch realm expert was destroyed by this strike. One could imagine how terrifying the power of this hammer was. Dang dang dang. The old man was forced to retreat several dozen steps before coming to a stop. His expression changed drastically. The second sky of the martial saint realm was not something he could imagine. The current him was already dead in his heart. He never thought that he would kick an iron plate. Now that more than a dozen of his subordinates had been killed by the other party's pressure and one strike, he did not have much chance left. Once an expert made a move, he would know if there was one. Sir Alchemy Saint, please spare my life. I know my mistake. As long as you spare my life, I can contribute all my wealth to you, as well as that pill tribulation lightning essence. The old man did not dare to act rashly at this moment. Li Lingtian's terror was beyond his imagination. Judging from the burly man, he was at the peak of the second firmament of the martial saint realm. However, he was able to attack Li Lingtian with unparalleled strength. This showed how powerful Li Lingtian was. If it was only this big guy, he still had hope of escaping. However, on the other side, there was an expert who had yet to display his strength. He did not have the courage to do so at all. Die! Do you think that a martial emperor can only rely on us? Although our young master is a martial emperor now, if he were to make a move, he would still kill you instantly. My young master doesn't want that little bit of wealth of yours. Die! Heaven Demon King shouted as he struck out with the heaven-shocking hammer. The destructive power of the demons and the advantage of being at the peak second firmament constantly bombarded the elder. Boom! 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 With a series of explosions, the old man continuously retreated, and blood spurted out of his mouth. He finally understood how terrifying Li Lingtian was. Not only was this alchemy saint's strength terrifying, but his subordinates were also terrifying. His wealth was even more terrifying. If he did not even care about his wealth, he would not stand a chance. There was no chance for him to fight with his life because he had no chance to fight back in front of a second heaven martial saint.
Chapter 587. Qingping 1. Heaven's startling hammer strike. Die. Remember not to provoke my young master in your next life. When Heaven Demon Monarch saw that it was about time, he circulated his demonic powers and unleashed his peak second firmament strength to the limit. The heaven's startling hammer in his hand smashed down. Immediately, a shocking hammer shadow smashed down from the sky, as if the divine might of the 9 heavens had descended. In front of the shocking hammer shadow, the first sky of the martial saint realm old man was pitifully small. His eyes were filled with destruction. Spirit profound avatar. When the old man saw the shocking hammer shadow, he was shocked to death. He no longer held back and used his most powerful secret technique. However, after using this secret technique, his cultivation would drop by 3 realms. The first sky of the martial saint realm had dropped by 3 realms. He was now only at the 8th sky of the martial emperor realm. However, in the current situation, it was definitely 10,000 times more powerful to fall than to die immediately. Boom! With a shocking explosion, the shocking hammer smashed down. A shadow disappeared. The old man's body was destroyed by the hammer, but the shadow came 10 meters away. One strike had destroyed the first sky of the martial saint realm. Although the first sky of the martial saint realm old man had used the doppelganger secret skill to escape the destructive strike, his real body was finished. Realizing that he had escaped,
The old man revealed a trace of joy on his face.
The illusory figure was about to flash and escape.
However, he suddenly realized that there was a strange flame on his body, and this flame was cold.
Ice flame. The old man's phantom was a clone, which was also a soul. As long as it escaped, it could be possessed and reborn. However, when he realized that the ice flames on his body were ice flames, he immediately cried out in surprise.
Following that, the old man's soul continued to wail in agony.
The wail reverberated throughout the world but stopped abruptly with a flick of Li Lingtian's finger. The icy blaze floated in the air before returning to the heavenly demon king's heaven-shocking hammer. Hee, 1 minute isn't up yet, is it? The heavenly demon king chuckled as he looked at the martial emperor's corpse on the ground. He grabbed at the air with one hand and collected some weapons and storage pouches. This was something he learned from Li Lingtian.
Not even a minute.
However, your last attack was also the power of the young master's ice flame. If not for the ice flame, you would have to spend a little more effort. Marshal Saint Ming Luo smiled as well. Finally, she handed the storage pouch to Li Lingtian respectfully.
The identities of these martial artists were different, so the storage bags in their hands were naturally different, so they did not dare to have the slightest thought.
As a matter of fact, they were not lacking in cultivation resources, elixirs, treasures, cultivation techniques, and everything else they needed when they were with Li Lingtian. Naturally, they did not need any storage pouches or wealth. Not bad.
Your cultivation is already very good.
However, you have to master more techniques.
If your techniques improve, you can raise your true strength to a higher level.
Li Lingtian took a glance at the heavenly monster king and nodded in satisfaction. However, he did say a few more words about his cultivation base. The heavenly monster king and Marshal Saint Ming Luo listened attentively. They did not belittle Li Lingtian's mere martial emperor as they had benefited from him. Li Lingtian was only a martial supreme before he fell from his state.
However, his knowledge was something that they would never be able to achieve because Li Lingtian cultivated the canon.
Some cultivation techniques and skills had their own unique introductions. It was their greatest wish to be able to hear Li Lingtian's advice and they were not willing to miss it.
Thank you for your guidance, young master.
The two of them bowed respectfully.
Finally, the two of them cleaned up the battlefield and the group quickly flew towards the county city.
Xuenyuan Yingying had just returned to the mansion when she saw a sly smile on her face. She looked at Li Lingtian with her beautiful eyes before her gaze landed on Qingping. Qingping, I think you lost at the auction.
We agreed that if you lost, you had to promise the other party one thing.
You won't go back on your word, right? Xuenyuan Yingying smiled as she spoke.
Li Lingtian did not know what he was up to when he saw her expression. However, he did not know and could only look at her.
Miss Yingying, just say it. Qingping will definitely not go back on her words. Qingping answered hurriedly. With Xuenyuan Yingying's identity, she would not object or reject a request even if they did not make a bet. All right, I'll go back to sleep first. Tonight, you accompany Big Brother Lingtian and serve Big Brother Lingtian. I will tell Meng Meng. After Xuenyuan Yingying finished speaking, she jogged into the mansion. Her petite and exquisite back view was extremely beautiful. Li Lingtian's heart was burning with passion as he watched, but he quickly suppressed it. He could not mess around with his wives. However, he immediately realized what Xuenyuan Yingying had said. She actually asked Qingping to serve him. This girl was really sly. Although Huangfu Yuyan and the others had told her about it, she could tell something. At this moment, Qingping was stunned. She didn't expect Xuenyuan Yingying to say such a thing. Her little face was flushed red as she lowered her head, afraid to look at Li Lingtian. Her little hands were twisting her clothes, looking extremely adorable. Although she wanted to serve Li Lingtian, she did not have the opportunity nor the right to do so. Now that Xuenyuan Yingying said it out loud, how could she not feel embarrassed?
Young master.
Qingping sensed that Li Lingtian was silent and thought that he was angry. She called out timidly. After that, she didn't know what to say, and the atmosphere became even more awkward. Let's go. I'll send you back. Li Lingtian felt troubled when he saw Qingping's expression. Qingping had been with Meng Meng since they were young. He and Meng Meng were engaged since they were young and they grew up together. It could also be said that Tang Ziming, Tang Qingyue, Lu Min, Qingping, Xiao Xiao, and him were all the same age and had played together since they were young. Although they had a master-servant relationship, when they were together, there was no master-servant relationship at all. They were all the same. They had been together for the past few years, but they had never thought that things would turn out like this. A woman would change when she grew up, and even her thoughts had changed. The maid who used to follow behind him had now become a beautiful girl. Yes. Qingping nodded. She felt relieved, but she was more disappointed and disappointed. Young master was so powerful and domineering outside. Now that he could speak to her so gently, he was already extremely satisfied. Young master, Qingping will serve you. After walking for a while, the two of them arrived at the deepest part of the mansion, which was also where they lived. Qingping did not want to continue like this. If she did not seize this good opportunity, she would never be able to find such an opportunity again in the future. Although she didn't want to become young master's wife, it was a happy thing to be young master's woman. His voice was even softer than a mosquito's. If not for Li Lingtian's profound cultivation base, no one would have been able to hear him. As she spoke, she kept her head lowered and her little hands were twisting on her clothes. She looked extremely nervous and Li Lingtian's heart was moved. Let's go. Needless to say, Li Lingtian knew that the maids were destined to follow him for life. It was impossible for him to ignore them. If a maid followed him and did not touch them for the rest of her life, she would be like the maids in the palace, never getting the favor of a man. He wouldn't be so cruel. If he didn't want such a beautiful girl, he would be a fool. Moreover, Qingping and the others had grown up with him, so their relationship was naturally deep. As he spoke, he held Qingping's hand and walked forward. Qingping's mind was filled with terror as she involuntarily followed Li Lingtian. Deep down, she was extremely afraid of Li Lingtian's rejection and his accusation that she was shameless. Naturally, it was difficult for a girl to say that. If they were not accepted, they would not have any face in the future. Moreover, they were afraid that Li Lingtian would ignore them after he got angry. She didn't expect her young master to agree, and even hold her hand gently. Soon, they arrived at Qingping's room. Qingping entered the room and turned on the light. Qingping's small face was red and she looked extremely shy. For a moment, he did not know what to say or do. However, Li Lingtian was also present when she served Tang Ziming these days. She had also seen Tang Ziming serving Li Lingtian. In the past, she had fantasized countless times about how to serve Li Lingtian, but now, she could not even control her fingers. Her mind was blank. Li Lingtian looked at Qingping's bashful expression and his heart thumped. Just like that, he admired this beautiful young girl's shy appearance. He sat on the chair with a faint smile in his eyes. Young master. Qingping was even more shy when Li Lingtian stared at her. After a while, she realized that Li Lingtian was teasing her. She could not be bothered with her shyness anymore as she gently walked to Li Lingtian's side. You don't regret it? Li Lingtian's eyes were extremely serious at this moment. He didn't want to go against a girl's wishes. Although this Qingping was beautiful, if she didn't want to, he definitely wouldn't touch her. Because he had many girls around him, he naturally wouldn't provoke Qingping. No regrets. Because Qingping is Mrs. Maid and also young master's man. Qingping likes young master. So young master, please love me. Qingping raised her head at this moment. Her beautiful eyes were like water as she looked at Li Lingtian. Her eyes were filled with shyness and seduction. After mustering up his courage, he no longer had any scruples and said what was in his heart. Li Lingtian did not expect Qingping to have such a side to her. He was overjoyed. The girls around him were either gentle, lively, delicate, quiet, generous, or strong. However, they all had one characteristic, which was that they would speak up boldly at the critical moment. In front of him, no matter what her personality was, she was always a gentle little woman. She was his wife. This Qingping was the same. Although she had a girl's nature and shyness, she still mustered up the courage to face it at the critical moment. Chapter 588. Cultivation Recovery, 1. When Li Lingtian woke up the next day, Qingping was also awake. Qingping realized her current state and thought of what happened last night. Her face turned red, but her heart was filled with sweetness. She leaned on Li Lingtian's arm shyly, not daring to move or look up at him. Li Lingtian looked at Qingping's expression and smiled faintly. Sleep for a while longer. I'll get up and cultivate first. Li Lingtian said softly as he pinched Qingping's little face. After saying that, he prepared to get up. Young master, Qingping will help you put on your clothes. Qingping felt even more blissful when she felt Li Lingtian's love for her. Even if this was the only time in her life, she would be satisfied. Knowing that Li Lingtian was about to get up to cultivate, he quickly spoke. If she fell asleep, this maid would be too unqualified. Hurry up and get up. However, as soon as she moved, her little face revealed a trace of pain and shyness. Aya. Qingping moved and groaned. Don't move. It's always like this for the first time. Go to sleep first. Naturally, Li Lingtian knew what was wrong with Qingping. He reached out and pressed her down on the bed before he put on his clothes. With a smile on her face, Qingping became even more shy when she saw Li Lingtian's smile. However, she still obediently slept on the bed and watched Li Lingtian's back disappear from the room. Li Lingtian gently closed the door behind him when he left. Even though this action was insignificant, it was a sign of happiness in Qingping's eyes. As soon as he came out, he saw Xuenyuan Yingying. There was still a smile on her little face. Li Lingtian found this smile rather odd no matter how he looked at it. Big brother Lingtian, how was last night? Xuenyuan Yingying smiled as she approached Li Lingtian and sniffed him with her round nose. Finally, she asked with a crafty look on her face. Are you a puppy? What do you mean? Li Lingtian did not know whether to laugh or cry when he saw Xuenyuan Yingying's expression. This little girl was so beautiful, but she looked like a little devil. Beautiful, absolutely unparalleled, stunning the world. However, this little girl's appearance and expression really gave him a headache. Why did she make him not know whether to laugh or cry? There's a girl's body fragrance on you. It should have been pretty good last night. Xuenyuan Yingying whispered into Li Lingtian's ear. Her breath was like orchids, causing Li Lingtian's heart to itch. Li Lingtian was rendered speechless by her words. However, a smile appeared on his face. As a man, he should have a masculine aura. However, there were many girls around him, so it was normal for him to have a girl's body fragrance at all times. Aren't you also stuck to me? The fragrance still spread to me. Go away. I'm going to cultivate. Don't be idle either. Li Lingtian leaned forward and sniffed Xuenyuan Yingying's body as he spoke with a smile on his face. This action made Xuenyuan Yingying extremely shy. She did not expect Li Lingtian to behave like this. I'll go cultivate too. I told Meng Meng yesterday. Xuenyuan Yingying held Li Lingtian's hand and dragged him forward as she spoke. The two of them soon arrived at a place not far from the garden. This place had a beautiful environment and everyone liked to cultivate here. Therefore, early in the morning, a few girls gathered here to cultivate. If you said it, then so be it. Li Lingtian shrugged nonchalantly. Huangfu Yuyan and the others had done this on purpose. Besides, this was very normal. Then, he took Xuenyuan Yingying's hand away and found a place at the edge of the pavilion to sit cross-legged. He began to cultivate. Xuenyuan Yingying smiled when she saw Li Lingtian's reaction. She then started cultivating beside him. How was yesterday? After cultivating for 2 hours, the girls had stopped cultivating. They came to the pavilion beside Li Lingtian and asked him after he had finished cultivating. How was last night? Li Lingtian opened his eyes and saw Huangfu Yuyan, Tang Qingyue, and the rest by his side. He was confused when he heard Huangfu Yuyan's words. He thought she was talking about Qingping. What are you thinking? I'm talking about what happened at the auction. Huangfu Yuyan chuckled when she saw Li Lingtian's reaction. The other girls laughed as well. Li Lingtian's reaction was hilarious. He was an indomitable powerhouse with unparalleled dominance on the outside, but he was extremely gentle to his wife at home. Oh, I gained quite a lot last night. I obtained the Pill Tribulation Lightning Essence, the Spirit Cold Ice, and a Supreme Saint weapon. After Li Lingtian finished his cultivation, He stood up and walked to Tang Qingyue's side. He recounted what happened at the auction last night and the girls were extremely excited. Shenyuan Yingying added excitedly. Yu Yan, I just saw this gold-attributed saint artifact yesterday. It suits you. Li Lingtian took out Butterfly Shadow and handed it to Huangfu Yuyan. Then, he took out some of the items. Immediately, the girls were extremely happy and began to choose what they liked. They were not particularly fond of treasures as Li Lingtian's strength did not require them to do anything. If there were any treasures, he would have to gain experience so that he could help Li Lingtian in the future. After we settle down here, I'll help each of you find a suitable divine artifact. At that time, your strength will be able to increase. Even if I'm not by your side, you'll be able to protect yourselves. Li Lingtian watched as the girls took away some of the items with a faint smile on his face. All right, after the matters of Nandu Prefecture and Qingxian are settled, we will go and search for the treasures. Tang Ziming and the others were overjoyed. With Shenyuan Yingying, Ge, and Little White, they could turn the entire divine martial continent upside down. Li Lingtian was already used to them. He was even more delighted to see them now. You little girl, hurry up and cultivate. Tang Qingyue looked at Tang Ziming and knocked her head. That's for sure. At the very least, we have to cultivate to the martial emperor or martial saint level and live for hundreds or thousands of years. That way we can travel the world. Tang Ziming did not resist at all. Instead, she snuggled up to Tang Qingyue. The two sisters were very close. Then you guys should cultivate well. I need to recover my cultivation during this period of time. Let's go and refine pills. Li Lingtian stood up. Shun Mei informed Tang Ziming before he headed to the alchemy room. In this mansion, he had specially built an alchemy room with countless spirit-gathering arrays. This way, he would not have to worry about not having enough spiritual energy when injecting spirit. Following that, Li Lingtian continued to refine elixirs while he recovered his cultivation base. He also revised his various skills and treasures to rapidly improve his abilities. A month had passed. On that day, Li Lingtian had just finished refining pills and the true essence in his body was circulating rapidly. His cultivation had recovered to the peak of the third heaven of the martial emperor realm very quickly after he had been practicing alchemy. His genuine vitality was even stronger than before. All kinds of strength had also increased. He was naturally extremely excited about the recovery of his cultivation. At least he had recovered his cultivation and did not have to worry about any side effects. Boom! A series of explosions sounded in the alchemy room. Fortunately, there were countless arrays in the alchemy room, so Shun Mei and Tang Ziming were not hurt by the Zhanyuan and aura. Hurry up and leave. Call Ming Luo, Heavenly Monster King, and Yun Hao over. I will break through at the back mountain. Li Lingtian quickly shouted at Shun Mei and Tang Ziming before he disappeared in a flash. When he reappeared, he had already arrived at the back mountain of the mansion. Although this place was in the city, this mansion was close to the border of the county city. Naturally, the back mountain was also very large. Li Lingtian came to the edge of a cliff and walked with his legs crossed. He then circulated the heaven and earth reincarnation. At that moment, Martial Saint Ming Luo and the other two were already 100 meters away from Li Lingtian. The three of them formed a triangular formation around Li Lingtian. As long as anyone came, they would be killed and Li Lingtian's cultivation would not be disturbed. You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.